If you've ever been considering going full port into a earnings print, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. Of course, you should never go full port into anything, obviously, but we do have a big event tonight. It is NVIDIA earnings day, and those are going to come out at 4:20. And yes, I'm serious about that. It'll be out at 4:20. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. Today is going to be the Wednesday, August 27th edition. As mentioned, we're going to have NVIDIA's earnings later tonight. We've got gasoline and crude data today, and we have an entire market session to trade prior to that. Super excited to be back. Hump Day kicks off with some trading here and ends with a bang. We're going to go ahead and break it all down. Benzinga's pre-market playbook for Wednesday, August 27th, begins right now. Good morning and welcome back, everybody. It is great to see a whole bunch of returning faces. I hope you all had a wonderful Tuesday evening because we're back for arguably the biggest day of the week with NVIDIA's earnings coming after the bell here today. Guess we'll see if Friday and the PCE print that we get makes it bigger, but this is going to be one of the biggest days. Great to have everyone back bright and early. Robert is first today. Robert Beach, BTAI looking good for trading today. Let me add BTAI to the list, Robert, and we will we'll cover some of that when we get to some of the movers. Peter, good to see you again. Welcome back. Cad Monkey, welcome back. Big Dave, welcome back. BTAI halted for news. We're going to break it all down. Looks like the producer's already giving you the news in the chat because that's what he does. Good stuff, producer. And good morning, producer. Sun-Kissed Yogi, good morning. Zach, good morning. Corey, good morning. Jane, good morning. Sassy Butterfly Chick, good morning and happy hump day indeed. And we are going to have a good day. The day we're breathing is a good day, but we're going to have an even better day. Chris Biscuit, I keep screwing up your name. Good morning, man. Welcome back. Tyler, good morning. Hoot, good morning. Glass half full, good morning. Azrar, good morning. Mikola, Mikola, let me know if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. Hi and good morning. Welcome. Florida Yacht Insurance Guy, locked in and ready to go. So is Big Bees. Good morning, Big Bees. Bernhard, welcome back. Maverick, welcome back. Buffalo by Bicycle, welcome back. Candace, White Chocolate Mocha, and Neville, welcome back. Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. Big Milkshake Trading, welcome back. Dive Deep and Reaching Financial Freedom, welcome back. James, Durkis, Barandi, and Shady, welcome back. Paul, Dimitro, and Sean, it's good to see you this bright and early morning. Richard Judge, welcome back. Kyle, welcome back. Ryan Milligan, let's go, Ryan. How you doing, man? Welcome back. Tyler, it's good to see you as always. MDB is scorching. We can definitely take a look at that here today. It looks like Palantir is trading up on the back of that as well. So a lot of action here this morning. Day Trader, good to see you again. Day Trader, we got a crypto interview coming up a couple of weeks here, but I'm bringing on a crypto guest on Monday morning. I believe that's going to be September 8th. Yeah, September 8th. So looking forward to kind of expanding some of our crypto insights and news coverage here. And we're going to be doing that here pretty soon. Mike, good morning. Six String Lova, good morning. And Francis, good morning. All right, folks, let's go ahead and talk about our stock market today. Hello and welcome. Good morning. Happy August 27th. This is the stock market today for Wednesday. Oops, I don't have my screen shared. This is the stock market today for Wednesday. Quick look here at the pre-market. We are about flat across the board. S&P 500 futures here up by 0.06%. The Dow is up by 0.02%. The NASDAQ is up by 0.06%. And the IWM, the ETF that tracks the small cap market, is unchanged here this morning. So we are about flat across the board. Now, last session here, overall, the market saw a positive performance on Tuesday with a majority of the sectors ending the day in the green, signaling broad-based investor confidence. The industrial sectors was the standout performer, surging by over 1.03%. This was followed closely by the financial sector, which posted a solid gain of about 0.75%. Other sectors contributing to the positive market sentiment included healthcare, IT, consumer discretionary, materials, and utilities. However, not all sectors participated in the day's gain. The consumer staples sector was the biggest laggard, declining by just under 0.5%. Other sectors that ended in negative territory were real estate, communication services, and energy. Now, on the economic front, while the durable goods order in July fell by 9.3%, the decline was smaller than the 10.4% drop that had been forecasted. This follows a significant 16.5% increase in orders back in June. Consumer confidence in August dipped ever so slightly as more consumers expect annual inflation to rebound. And then also, investors are going to await NVIDIA. They are going to report their earnings today. Should be the biggest event of the week. It's scheduled to be released after the closing bell about 4:20 Eastern here today. The $4 billion tech giant's earnings will serve as a barometer for market strength and the verdict of AI spending. Meanwhile, the Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook will be filing a lawsuit to prevent her firing by President Trump, according to her lawyer. Also worth noting that the 10-year Treasury bond yielded 4.26% and the 2-year bond was at 3.65%. For a deeper dive on any of these stories or more market insights, head on over to benzinga.com. All right, I'll tell you what, that little music, that gets me so fired up. Whoever selected that, they deserve a pay increase because that is awesome. And I'm even more pumped up than I was when I started the show. Let's dive in a little bit more into SPY here as we are still holding up near all-time highs. In fact, let's see, 646.50, still going to be that all-time high. And while we are pretty much right there in the pre-market, we have not yet broken out for that. So our key levels today going to be very, very easy once again here for the SPY. We want to see if we can break that 646.50 mark and go higher here, or do we end up pulling back? Again, the first level of support there should be that 20-day moving average. We have that value at 638.13. It is worth noting that below that, we have the 50-day average at 627.67. And prior to that level, we have about 634.5. This marks the recent low when we pulled back from the all-time highs. So I mention all of that because I think that NVIDIA, depending on what they report here today, it should determine where we go, or at least what that knee-jerk reaction is. And I would imagine that these levels would come into play. If NVIDIA starts selling off and the market comes in a little bit, I would look for that 20-day and see if we move down to that. It might take an entire day session to do that. But these are the levels that we're kind of going to be watching today. The other thing that I'm going to watch here is the volume. This week has been very, very light on the volume, and it just kind of tells me that there is some waiting or some indifference going on with market participants. And I suppose that makes sense with the last week of summer here, right before we get into September. As mentioned, we talk about it every day. September seasonally is going to be a pretty weak month. So we're looking to see if we get a pullback here in any of these indices. My personal view on this is that if we do get a pullback, it's likely going to be a buying opportunity. So where does that pullback stop? Where does the market pull back to? If it pulls back to a pretty easy to spot support level, I think we're going to be in good shape for a trade. Now, let's take a look at some insights here. Economist Justin Wolfers criticized President Trump's characterization of surging tariff revenues as a budget windfall, saying that American businesses and consumers will eventually bear the cost. On Tuesday, in a post on X, Wolford shared a snippet from his latest appearance on CNN, The Lead with Jake Tapper, where he argued against Trump's claims. What a surprise. Guest on CNN saying Trump is doing everything wrong. I'm shocked to see that there's gambling going on in here. Quote, calling tariff revenue a windfall is like calling your speeding ticket a bonus for the police budget, end quote. I don't know if I've heard a worse comparison in a long time. That's pretty terrible. Wolfer said, adding that while tariffs might be a source of revenue for the U.S. federal government, they are a tax for consumers and business. Quote, but for you, it's a tax. Last week, Trump celebrated a report by the Congressional Budget Office, which said that the tariffs that his administration imposed will reduce primary deficits by $3.3 trillion through 2035, which, in addition to $700 billion in lower interest costs, could lead to a total reduction of $4 trillion. The second quarter 2025 earnings from major U.S. retailers reported last week reveal a complex consumer landscape shaped by tariff uncertainties and shifting spending habits. Quote, retail earnings offer valuable insights into the overall health of the U.S. economy and consumer behavior, end quote. That comes from our friend Jeff Bookbinder, chief equity strategist at LPL Research. According to LPL Research and FactSet data, results were mixed, with discount retailers outperforming higher-end peers as consumers prioritized value and delayed major purchases. You know, the interesting note about this is that we did get a report from Home Depot that said people were actually buying appliances and things like that. So it looks like there are pockets of pulling back, and there are pockets still where they're spending on some of those higher priced items. Quote, while the initial tariff rates announced on April 2nd have since come down, the effective global tariff rate is still projected to be in the mid to high teens, Bookbinder explains, highlighting potential impacts on retailers' bottom lines. Remember, we had talked with Louis Navalier. He confirmed that Trump's big end goal here is going to be to eliminate income tax. Now, I'm not sure if he's going to be successful with that, but that definitely seems to be the case, and the administration seems to be making moves to do that. How will that affect some of these stocks and the trade? Yet to be seen, but you can bet your bottom dollar we're going to stay on top of all of that. Now, let's talk about NVIDIA. I know that's what everyone cares about. You're probably tired of hearing about tariffs and Trump and all of that stuff. Let's get over to NVIDIA, because this is going to be the event of the day. Now, NVIDIA reports tonight. This is where we find ourselves. We are basically at all-time highs right now for NVIDIA. So just looking at this chart, and actually if we zoom out a little bit on the chart, I'd like to know what you folks think about this, but it seems to me that this chart, like all things equal, this chart to me looks like it's trying to flash a breakout. Right, this has some pretty extreme strength. We have a nice little downtrend here. Again, if we zoom out a little bit more, this nice little downtrend represents kind of a regression to the mean after the huge meteoric rise that NVIDIA went through. And after that was done and investors were done digesting all of that, we made another run, and we made all-time highs when we broke above, what is this value right here? Just about 153-ish, right about there. And we have now continued another 30 points higher. This is where we sit prior to these earnings. Now, just like we talked about with the SPY, with some of these key levels, whether they be prior support levels or a moving average that will act as a support level, I do think that we are possibly going to break out here. If NVIDIA just kills it, you know, Jensen Huang loves to use a lot of hyperbole and hype in his earnings reports about his own company. If we see that, I definitely think we can see NVIDIA make a move. While I don't think the print will take it directly to 200, if all things are good and guidance is raised and all of that, I don't think 200 is out of the question here in the near future. Maybe even before we get a pullback in September. But a lot has to happen before we can make that claim or make that judgment. On the downside here, your levels are very similar to the SPY in terms of how we're getting them. Obviously, the 20-day at 179.5 is going to be one of those levels. I would also kind of throw 171 in here. This was the recent low that NVIDIA put in when it backed off of these highs. And then I would put 169.25. I'd probably round that down to 169. So we're looking here at about 172, 179.5, 172, and 169 is your downside levels. A lot of that makes sense. I think that if NVIDIA sells off, it could very easily find support at any of those three levels. Again, we'll see how we're going to do this. Lion here says, I think NVIDIA is going to do the same thing like last earnings and is going to go lower after earnings. Now, Lion, I'm with you on this. And like I've been saying the past couple of days here, 13's kind of really got me on this. This seems so well set up to be a sell the news event that takes us into September, where the market is traditionally weak. Everything seems so well set up for that I'm at the point where that almost seems too obvious. Nonetheless, I still think I'm in the same camp as you, Lion. I still think we end up resolving lower, even if there's an initial pop on this. I still think we probably end lower. Zach here saying NVIDIA guidance will be important, especially regarding the China sales. Zach, you're hitting it right on the head. As we've seen from some of these other companies like MongoDB, guidance is really what drives the ship here, or drives the bus here. And you're right about that, China. If they say that the China outlook is not as bad, I think you're going to have some positive reaction for that. Zach, I think you're all about it right now. There may be too much uncertainty with overseas sales before it pushes past 200. Agreed. Guidance is going to be key. James, I completely agree with you guys. It looks like we're all on the same side here, and that's kind of what I mean. To me, it seems almost like it's too obvious. Will there be a surprise? That's what makes the market, folks. Big B's, NVIDIA is likely going to pop. Look at MDB. Shocked the crap out of me. All right, we will take a look at MDB. Let me actually add that to the list here, but I do want to break down the preview here for these earnings, as this is very clearly the biggest event, and we are expecting Tim Melvin today. So we look forward to welcoming Mr. Melvin back to the program this morning. Technology giant NVIDIA could serve as a barometer for market strength and multiple sectors when the company reports second quarter financial results after the market close on Wednesday. Here are the earnings estimates from analysts, what experts are saying ahead of the report, and some key items to watch. Thankfully, we consulted our show experts here, and we already have a pretty good idea of what to watch. But I digress. Analysts expect NVIDIA to report second quarter revenue of $45.89 billion. That would be up from $30 billion in last year's second quarter, a $15 billion jump. That would be massive. The company has beaten analyst estimates for revenue in 11 straight quarters. The estimated revenue would set a new company record, surpassing the first quarter total of $44.06 billion. Analysts expect NVIDIA to report second quarter earnings per share of $1. That's going to be up from 68 cents per share in the second quarter. And the company has beaten analyst estimates on earnings per share again for 11 straight quarters. This company, it's an absolute monster. There's just no other way around it. They continue to beat. We'll see if they have another one in store for us here today. Previous guidance from the company called for second quarter revenue of $45 billion, plus or minus 2%, which includes the loss of $8 billion in H20 revenue due to the control exports on China. And just circling back to what our brilliant chat members were talking about, this is the China guidance that was referenced here. What are chip sales going to look like going forward? I do think the market is going to be hanging on that quite a bit. Analysts have been raising their price targets on NVIDIA stock ahead of the earnings report. Remember, I've always said I will appreciate an analyst when they stick their neck out and make a ratings change, whether it's up or down, ahead of the earnings print. To me, that carries more weight than simply adjusting your price target after the earnings print. We have seen a number of analysts raise their price targets on NVIDIA. Will they be right? Stick around till 420 and we'll find out. NVIDIA stock could move around 7% based on historical reactions. Freedom Capital Markets chief market strategist Jay Woods said in a weekly newsletter. Jay Woods is a sharp guy, by the way. I definitely like listening to him. Sees a lot of stuff, really, really good. Saying this is the most important stock in the world is an understatement. The stock's average move for an earnings release is plus or minus 7.4%. So just an average move will make an impact on the entire market. And this is why we've kind of hyped this. It's clearly an important stock. It's clearly, at the cornerstone of this AI wave and all of that, or a cornerstone of this AI wave and all of that. And Jay does a really good job here. Even if it just does what is anticipated, it's so big and so important that it's likely going to have ripples elsewhere. In the newsletter, Woods breaks down the high weighting for NVIDIA in a top stock market indexes and ETFs. Quote, given that it's the largest market capitalized firm in the world with a valuation of $4.34 trillion, it holds the highest weighting of any stock. In the S&P, NVIDIA is the top holding at 8%. In the Qs, NVIDIA is the top holding at 10.1%. And in the Spider Dow Jones, NVIDIA is the 19th largest holding at 2.4%. While it has a smaller weighting in the Dow, NVIDIA is one of the rare stocks included in that index, along with the S&P 500, and is a member of the Mag 7, which covers some of the most closely watched stock groups. Wood shares that NVIDIA is also a top holding in the VanEck Semiconductor ETF SMH, which we often look at here on this program, and the Spider Technology ETF XLK at around 22% and 16%, respectively. Quote, as NVIDIA goes, so goes most of the semiconductor stocks and AI plays. They are the dominant player in the space, and positive forward guidance combined with continued strong demand will likely lift the entire sector. Any surprising slowdown and negative impact could be dramatic. And this is why a lot of folks are watching this. The other thing, I really haven't mentioned this yet, but I would like to know if any of you are playing a different stock based on these earnings. Are you looking to buy or short a different stock that might be related to NVIDIA just to kind of avoid the actual NVIDIA event itself? Let me know how you're looking at this. The Street continues to estimate the demand curve for the AI revolution being led by NVIDIA. Ives recently tweeted, quote, this week's earnings will be another flex in the muscles moment for NVIDIA and the AI revolution bull thesis. Gene Munster of Deepwater Asset Management said investors are too focused on the short-term numbers for NVIDIA and missing future growth. Quote, for the next 2 years, we're still early in the AI data center build-out, end quote. Munster also said physical AI will be the growth engine after data center growth drops, adding that robotics could become the next growth market. And we've spent a lot of time talking about robotics, in particular with Tesla, but it looks like NVIDIA is going to be a major player in that as well. The earnings and guidance from NVIDIA will take center stage on Wednesday, with the stock likely to react immediately to the headline numbers. Diving deeper into these results and commentary, China is likely to be a significant topic that could impact the movement of the stock. NVIDIA has missed out on revenue due to restrictions on China, with the Trump administration attempting to capture a portion of revenue from exports to China and China counterattacking with red flags against U.S. chip makers. The battle over whether NVIDIA will experience revenue growth in the Chinese market continues, and that's what we're hoping to hear out of the guide here today. Investors and analysts will likely look to year-over-year and quarter-over-quarter percentages to determine the stage of growth NVIDIA now finds itself in. Gaming and AI, PC, and automotive segment revenue was up 42% year-over-year and up 72% year-over-year, respectively, in the first quarter. There are other sector analysts and investors. These are the other sectors and analysts investors will be watching. Now, on that robotic note, real quick, Gene Munster, as we just talked about, said that NVIDIA's robotics platform is emerging as, quote, the de facto standard, end quote, in the industry as the company launched its powerful Jetson AGX chip, positioning robotics as a key growth driver ahead of its closely watched earnings report. Munster highlighted two key insights on NVIDIA's robotic prospects ahead of its earnings report. First, Tesla's use of NVIDIA technology for its bots and for the merging of full self-driving and Optimus computing teams suggest NVIDIA's robotics platform is becoming an industry standard with tangible real-world applications. Second, while robotics currently accounts for less than 1% of NVIDIA's revenue, it is expected to evolve into a significant growth driver and focal point for investors over the next 5 years. So get ready, folks. Listening to what they say on the guide and on the conference call regarding robotics is going to become increasingly important. Gene Munster's already telling you that, and it's a small part of their revenue stream. Munster's comments came a day after NVIDIA announced its Jetson AGX Thor chip module, marked as a robot brain. Gives me Terminator vibes, but I digress. It's now available for $3,500 per development kit with shipments starting next month. The chip, which is based on NVIDIA's latest Blackwell GPU architecture, is 7.5 times faster than the previous generation and is equipped with 128 gigs of memory to power advanced AI models. Once customers complete development, production-ready Thor T5000, I cannot get around the Terminator vibes, but I'll keep going here. The production-ready Thor T5000 modules will be sold for $3,000. Each bulk orders for each bulk order of 1,000 chips or more. Oh my God, this is crazy. NVIDIA said the chips are designed for humanoid robots, factory automation, and autonomous vehicles, and have already been adopted by companies including Tesla, Amazon, Meta, Boston Dynamics, and Agility Robotics. While robotics currently represent a small part of NVIDIA's revenue, the company has seen growth in its combined automotive and robotics segment already, which reported $567 million in sales last quarter. That was up 72% year over year. NVIDIA is set to report their earnings here tonight, with Wall Street expecting record revenue of 45.89 billion. All right. That just about does it here for NVIDIA. Again, I'm excited for this. I can't wait to hear or see what happens here. And I especially can't wait to hear how you folks are trading it. Please let me know if you put on any trade for NVIDIA here today. Now, I know it's been a little bit, some family stuff to deal with, and that's always going to come first here. But we are very happy to welcome back to the program Tim Melvin. Let's bring him on and see how things are going.
We are good. We survived swimming and bouncing around up in the mountains, rivers, and streams. We survived the water park, although that one was a little close. Reminded me why I do not love water parks. 7-year-olds are really high energy little creatures, and they talk a lot. But it was a fantastic week. We have survived. Kind of made my summer to have that little fat final granddaughter fling before we head off, and now we're back and looking at the world, and it looks like we're not allowed to talk about anything but NVIDIA today.
Well, actually, Tim, what I've done is I've tried to talk as much about NVIDIA as I can prior to you getting on, because I knew that you were going to have something other than NVIDIA for us today. So, Tim, those rules, you can throw those in the trash can. What do you got for us today, even if it's not NVIDIA related?
we got a few things that came up just out of studies that I happened to glance at, read over the week. One was fascinating because it backs up one of my, over a coffee cup theories that I was pretty sure I was right about, but had never actually bothered to test because it wasn't that important to me. A professor out of University of Western Australia did a study on gold and whether or not it's actually an inflation hedge. It is not.
Oh,
when you crank the math to gold since 1990, okay, it is not a day-to-day inflation hedge. It doesn't do the job like 85% of the time. When it works is when there's an inflation shock or geopolitical fears. Just look back over the last 20 years and you'll see just exactly how correct that statement is. Gold does exactly bupkis until there's a big headline that sparks a rally, which my back of the coffee cup did not until today hold scientific water, but now it actually holds quite a bit. The way to treat gold is to ignore all the crap that you've ever heard about gold, right? And when nobody except your old crazy uncle who hasn't been sober since 1955, wants to own gold, okay? When he's the last gold bull out there, this is his magic shining moment because you want to own gold at that point in time. When nobody else wants it, it's not reflecting anything. It's peace, love, happiness in the world. Nobody wants to own gold. Buy some gold. So things are going to change. So
this seems a lot like volatility, right? Like buying insurance for your portfolio. You're supposed to do that when it's cheap, when everything is rosy. So the same thing applies to gold then.
Right. Yeah, but none of us ever do that.
That's right. I'm saying this is what we should do, but we don't actually do that.
Okay, and I've got more to say on the whole insurance kind of angle there, but The other thing that we looked at in this study is, look, now when everybody wants to own gold, take a poll. Everybody wants to own gold right now. Gold is in a bull run. It's got great momentum. That's not the time to be a large buyer of gold for long-term insurance purposes. You may want to do it for trade. You may want the momentum trade, but you don't want to be a gold bull because inflation's coming. Inflation has come. It's been here. Everybody owns it. The door's closing. That's right. And by the way, all the guys that walk around telling you there's going to be 20,000 gold and $15,000, just smack them and walk away. I've been hearing that stuff for over 40 years now. But gold in the day-to-day normal environment is a lousy inflation hedge.
You know, Tim, this is a really good thing that you're bringing up here. I think maybe we should run a poll this morning. We should run a poll. Do you like gold, or do you want to own gold?
Yes.
And I think what we should do is we should do yes, gold stock or ETF, yes, physical gold, and then no as our options. Producer, make it so.
Yes, and yeah, but put in there too. Is it a trade, or are you holding it as a long-term hedge against inflation? And the study did make the comment that there is some evidence that over very long periods of time, it's a decent store of value, but it's not a store of value that provides return. It maintains purchasing power only over very long periods of time, which means your dollar will be worth the same, maybe in 25, 30 years. That's doesn't do you a damn bit of good, really. You're basically right where you started. The idea of all this is to be better off than we were. So that's kind of where we are on that one. Then there was a study, and this one's just for kicks, Ryan, and you'll see why here in a second. Somebody did a study of partisan bias in economic numbers. That's been top of headlines lately, right?
Yep.
Something everybody's talking about, and it turns out it's exactly true. The party that has the man up until now in history in the White House tends to overstate the economic achievements of the administration. So they will inflate GDP. They will, and by the way, this was a long-term study, so we're not pointing at the current guy. He's just the latest in a long trend of folks that.
Yeah, he's one data point among many, frankly.
Yep, exactly. It's kind of like everybody does it. Everybody has done it. And as you would expect, the party out of power tends to understate the economic achievements. By the way, this is powerful confirmation of one of the underlying theories of Melvin's approach to economics. Anything that a politician has touched is complete, total, and other garbage and BS. Please don't look at that. Okay. Now, and you could tell we did a lot of reading this time around. We spent a lot of time with some studies. It's been quite a bit of fun. Another one came out, and this is a 128-year study of corporate bond pricing. This is intensive. This is a watershed effort. They did hand-collected data over 128 years. They used a double-blind process with 3 independent freelance organizations to compile the database, because look, there's no electronic record going back more than about 30 years for this stuff, right? And the best of times, bond prices are a pain in the you-know-what to compile. So now we have an evolution of credit rating systems and credit spreads over 128 years. Now, the reason that I'm so interested in this study and that I really am a fan of the conclusions that are drawn here is because if you've paid any attention to me when it comes to macro, I have said if you would if you could turn off the TV, I'm not allowed to see the TV, I can't see anything. If you just show me high yield credit spreads, I'll tell you where we are. This study absolutely confirms that credit spreads, whether you use corporate to government or high yield to government, I prefer the high yield, are absolutely 1000% the absolute best way to measure future activity in the financial markets. And when you have really tight spreads like you have today, okay, then there's no fear. I mean, it's like having a VIX of 10. Nope,
Hmm.
afraid of anything. Now, right now, there's actually pretty good reasons for that. All right. Credit conditions and corporate bonds are outstanding. It's been just steadily getting better and better and better. You look at the banking system, you look at private credit, you look at high yield bonds. Credit's fantastic. Delinquency rates are minuscule, about as good as they've ever been. The economy's kind of cranking along. So there's not really a reason to be scared at this point in time if you're a fixed income investor. In that environment, what our work has shown, Ryan, is just that momentum stocks do exceptionally well. Okay. That is a great time to be massively long momentum because there's no fear. People are piling into the market. They're buying the stocks with the best fundamentals, which is creating that twin momentum factor that I like to talk about all the time. So you are okay owning risk assets. Real estate is probably a pretty good asset, particularly if you're financing it. So
Hmm.
mortgages in general, really great investment bet in this environment. What you're watching for, and do not watch these daily, you will go insane. Okay. Watch them monthly. When you see that first monthly close up, it's time to start getting nervous. So when high yield credit spreads close up on the month, and they haven't in a while, then you start getting nervous. When they get over the 10-year mean, which right about now is 4.6%, we closed at 289 on Friday to give you some
Hmm.
idea. Okay. Then it's time to start. Now you're going to worry about insurance, right? Now with credit spreads under 3, is a great time to be loading your boat on insurance because this is as good as it gets. All right. If high yield bond spreads go under treasury yields, right? If, in other words, this keeps going down under 2, under 1, we are we're at end times. Something has gone dramatically wrong and the government's probably collapsed. This really is as good as it gets. It's time to start thinking about insurance. Now, if you really want the single best opportunities to get rich, and go back in the St. Louis Fed database, you can check me on this. Okay. There is a chart in there going back into the 90s of option adjusted high yield credit spreads. When high yield credit spreads spike higher, and you never know how they're going to go. Usually anything over 10, anything over 7 really is everybody in the pool. It's time to party. Okay. But if you look at 2008, 2009, they blew out to like 20. It was crazy. So you can wait. It goes above the 10-year mean. It gets above the 6-7% level. Let it keep going higher. That first monthly down close, that's everybody in the pool. Let's get really stinky, dirty, filthy rich because everything's going to go higher. So you want to buy the cheapest, most leveraged companies in that situation, and you're going to make a fortune as things inevitably recover. If they don't recover, the world's going to end, and you're not going to care.
Or you're going to care about something else as
Well,
it's ending.
well, I mean, your guns and your green beans, they're important, really. That lead and tin, man. I mean,
Green
boom,
beans.
guns and green beans will be the trade of the day. Should that actually happen? So it's a fascinating study in that 128 years of bond prices was, and I've just started kind of going into it because I'm big on credit, as you know. Um, that's a massive endeavor to have gone back and pieced together by hand out of databases and newspapers and exchange records to compute the individual pricing of bonds and the credit ratings and put this study together. So, a pretty impressive piece of work.
Okay.
So now our next impressive piece of work, and this one, Ryan, I sent you the link to this because if you're an option trader, you need to read this study. You need math, so yeah, you're going to ChatGPT could be your friend on this one.
I'm good with math. I actually excelled in math. I was a mathlete as well as an athlete when I was younger. So
Outstanding. So this is called Sizing the Risk, Kelly VIX and Hybrid Approaches in Put Writing on Index Options. This study takes what I think is the first comprehensive look at, empirically, not from a marketing point of view, at selling very short-term out of the money options on the indexes, not on individual stocks. That's a lot choppier and a lot harder to make the proper calculations. But just continuously selling these very short-term ultra day, zero data expiration options far out of the money. You're selling for a penny, right? You're selling for nothing, but they consistently outperform the market, right? You're collecting just pennies every day, but you're collecting them every day. So, and you've got to use a hybrid Kelly-Vicks sizing method that the math is in the paper. And if you're not familiar with the Kelly criterion, go back and start there because you really need to understand that. The Kelly criterion. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I believe that this actually provides a link to that. So this is something that, for example, I'm not familiar with this.
Okay, this is critical. If you're going to be a trader, you have to know the Kelly criterion. Kelly criterion was put together by Claude Shannon and John Kelly. They were actually working for AT&T, working on sound waves. And they found this particular math. As it turns out, Kelly was a bit of a gambler. He's a Texas-born engineer. He was your whiskey-drinking, cigarette-smoking engineer who liked to flake out to the casino on the weekends. And he figured out that if you could calculate your edge, your odds, then the Kelly criterion would correctly size your bet so you never blew up your bankroll. So the Kelly-Vicks sizing method is an important part of this because the key thing here now is there's three, and this is where the math goes, oh my God. But you can't just use historical volatility to make the calculation. There's something called a Garmin glass and then the Yang Zhang volatility estimators. They outperform historical volatility. They're tough models, but newsflash, between code and chat GPT, you can get the code done. Okay. So it's really fascinating that there's an enormous amount of money to be made selling these short-term option writing strategies. Okay. Just selling out of the money puts. And, for years, it's been true, 95% of the time you'll win if you sell an S&P option 5% out of the money with a month left to go. Okay. You're usually going to win that trade. The problem is when you don't win that trade, it's going to blow your butt up if you don't have the position sizing correct. So, and trust me, I know quite a few people who bought really big houses and, had the life because they were selling those 5 to 7% shorter term S&P 500 options every month. They made tons and tons and tons of money. And then you get a 2009 or a COVID now you have a problem because the losses pile up rather quickly. This paper is really important. If you're going to trade options seriously, I'm not saying that you have to know all the math. I'm not saying that you have to adopt this as your strategy. I'm saying you better understand why this doesn't work because the guys on the other side of your trade, they damn sure know it, and they're using it. So always know the other side's story. So even if you want to trade this stuff from the long side based on this week's super double magic pattern, whatever that turns out to be, you need to know this, or you need to quit trading options because you're never going to make any money.
So real quick, couple of things here. Tim, I really appreciate you sending this ahead of time so that I can go through it. This is not something that I've ever read. If anyone wants a copy of this, you are welcome to email me. I would be happy to distribute it to you. Tim, I'm assuming that's okay. I can do that.
Yeah, that's exactly why I sent it to you, Ryan. So
I figured as much, but you might as well just ask and make sure. The other thing, Tim's giving out pro tips. I got one for you too. This is a 33-page PDF, and it does have a lot of kind of complex math equations that if you're not practiced, it might be a little bit difficult to understand conceptually. But my pro tip here, drop this document into Perplexity or Chat GPT and ask it to summarize the key points for you.
Yes.
Because you can probably level up your understanding several orders of magnitude more, and it won't take you more than 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Just my pro tip there.
Yep. There was somebody else before I move on, because I don't want them to feel like I'm ignoring them. Somebody asked about Horizon HRZN, which is the BDC that invest in development stage companies. I've owned this before in the past, the kind of distant past, like several years ago. We haven't done much with it because it is venture capital tech finance, right? It's a crowded, competitive market. For a while there, it looked like in venture capital funding did kind of dry up for a while. So we've really stayed away from this. And it is down. BDCs, with the understanding that I cut my teeth in the Michael Milken era. And personally, I think Milken gets vilified and criticized incorrectly. And somewhere somebody should build a statue to this guy, because a significant portion of your net worth today and the life that you live has been funded by Milken's research and people that grew out of that organization. I love credit. I love private credit. We're not exactly on the fence when it comes to private credit right now, but we are cautious. We own big, solid BDCs in the private credit space that have really deep pocketed partners, really conservative portfolios. We don't own a lot of them. BDCs in their current form, and they've been around for a long time, but it was after the aftermath of the great financial crisis, this market exploded. Right, because banks, the regulators suggested to banks gently with a big hammer that perhaps there are certain lines of business, LBO financing, certain development stage financing, you don't want to be in anymore. They're too risky for you taking insured deposits to invest in. Banks, after being hit with the hammer a couple times and seeing that their industry was about to collapse into a giant sewer, agreed with the regulators and withdrew from those businesses, leaving a big hole in the corporate finance system, which BDCs have filled admirably. The problem is when we look at private credit today, the first time I went to a private credit conference in Chicago, there was like 15 of us, and the conversation had more to do over Scotch versus bourbon than anything to do with the big market in
now we're talking. I know 13 likes hearing that too. We're big Scotch fans around these parts, so that's great.
So it was the last one in Chicago last year had 10,000 registrations. I think it was just crazy how big these conferences have gotten, because everybody and their brother now want to be in the business, right? So, and it's the Warren Buffett thing. It hasn't been tested yet. We don't know who's swimming naked. Now, when we see who's swimming naked, when we get a meaningful economic slowdown that the Fed does not bail us out for, as it has over the last 15 years, almost immediately, then you're going to see who the good guys are and who the bad guys are. I have a pretty good idea who they are, but let's see, because they're all going to go down. But the good guys in this scenario are going to make you a fortune. Right? I thought we came close in 2020. I was getting excited, stacking cash on the table, ready to go. And then the Fed came in and threw some money, and the Congress threw some money, and we didn't get a chance to see who was the good guys and who were the bad guys. So in Horizon, we haven't done much with it. We have a lot of concerns about private credit, so we're being very, very cautious in that segment right now. So I didn't want to leave that question hanging out there.
No, I appreciate that, and I totally get it. It does pay 15% here. The dividend hasn't changed, but with the stock price dropping, that's why the percentage has actually gone up. So that's what's going on there. Tim, you'll be happy to know I've actually distributed this to about 11 people that have reached out already. So thank you for doing that, and thank you folks for reaching out here. Again, happy to do it.
Yep. Now, one final thought, and this is something that I talk about all the time, and so all of you ignore me, so feel free, go up, get a cup of coffee, because you're not going to do what I'm about to talk about anyway. But anyway, there's an investment research firm out there that says in an unsteady world, it's finally time, it's Acadian Asset Management, to tilt away from U.S. equities. I've been saying this for a while. Right. And it's like the big focus on NVIDIA this morning. It's because NVIDIA is the U.S. market. Now, for a lot of reasons, some financial, many political, you're seeing money rotate out of the United States. None of it's U.S. money, because we're all just determined to stay here. When it's the not invented here syndrome, I guess. But money is shifting, and it's going to continue to shift to Europe and to Asia. Those nations and those segments of the world, the stocks are cheaper. The profit potential is more widespread. It's not just AI. I mean, it's still going to be a technology leader. I mean, Japan by far is the leader, for instance, in robotics, something we just talked about. You're seeing trade shift. AP Moeller Maersk had their earnings report, great report. That stock's in our perfect stock portfolio on Benzinga Edge, by the way. Largest shipping concern in the world. They said, shipping is surprisingly good. Container shipping to the United States from Asia and from Europe is really drying up. It's not good because of the tariffs. People are not sending as much stuff here. Makes sense. However, the Asia and Europe to Latin America, the Latin America to Asia, the Asia to Europe, Europe to Asia, those are really strong because those trade relationships are shifting. So Europe and Japan and the rest of Asia are still doing quite well. So some just simple thoughts and strategies that we took some time to put together that outperformed the market in a really big way. And they're real simple, guys. All we're going to do is we're going to go out here. Hang on, let me make one correction here to make sure I get this screen absolutely right. We're going to go to Asia and Europe. We're going to buy stocks trading below book value and paying a 5% dividend. So that's all we want to do. Okay, hang on one second. I see what I did wrong here. Over the last 5 years, these strategies have outperformed U.S. markets by a meaningful amount. Okay, hang on. I'm trying to get my quick screen for Japan.
Did you want to share your screen, Tim, or?
No, because I've made a mess of it.
Okay.
give me a second here, and we'll be right. I'll be right with you. Hold, please, while the party you're trying to reach is trying to unscrew the mess he made.
I'm still distributing your study here, so
okay.
That's why I'm not participating here. I'm still setting it up.
Anyway, basically, we want to just look at stocks from around the world that are paying good dividends and trade below book value. And you come up with some great companies, right? If we just look in Asia, it's obviously Nippon Steel is trading at 78% of book value with a 5% dividend yield. I will own that all day long, especially since, by the way, they've grown the dividend by 89% over the last 5 years. Nomura Holdings, my hand is sore, Ryan, from banging on the table over the last 3 or 4 years about Nomura Holdings, okay? This is a financial services company in Japan. They're expanding into Hong Kong. They're expanding into Singapore. They're doing some business with, but not necessarily in mainland China. As Asia's trade relationships become more Asia-specific and to everywhere but the U.S., Nomura's got a huge role to play here. And again, the stock is now trading, but that one's NMR, trades right on the New York Stock Exchange. So it's at 91%.
NMR.
Yep.
Right. Yep. Nomura.
91% of book value, a 5% dividend yield. And by the way, we did these. So like NPSCY, Nippon Steel, you can buy these. Okay. They trade okay. Nippon Yusen Kabushiki Kisha is a trade that's NPNYY is a logistics company out of Japan, trading at 84% of book value, great fundamentals, and a dividend yield of 6%. So you could just put lists of these together. I mean, that are doing extremely well. Krung Thai Bank out of Thailand, KGTFF. Stock's trading at 66 cents because it's an ADR, but it's 77% of book value, 7% dividend yield, and it's one of the larger banks in Thailand. So there's opportunities outside the United States that most people are not looking at. These stocks have outperformed the U.S. market when the U.S. market was the dominant player in the world. They're going to get better from here. When you go to Europe, which remains probably my favorite global market because of what their central bank is doing, what our central bank did last year in beginning to cut interest rates in a meaningful way. First off, again, to my comments on shipping, Torm PLC out of London, TRMD, is very cheap. one of my favorites, and I gave this to you guys last year when the dividend yield stock was down around $1. Dividend yield was 40% sick, right? Except now the stock has gone up to $1.92 from where it was. It's still paying its 19% dividend and trading at a discount, a pretty steep discount to book value, and that's MPZZF.
MPZZF. That's a snazzy ticker there.
Yes. But anyway, my point is lots of shipping companies in here. One lonely little French bank. French banks have appreciated substantially from where we originally bought them a couple years ago. And I did tell you guys about those last year, so you can't be mad at me. That's Credit Agricole, CRARY, with a great dividend. Fantastic bank in France, by the way, made up of a bunch of regional banks. And then out of
great
the UK,
chart too, frankly.
Yeah, so you've just got some fantastic companies coming. I'm looking for New River. Again, this is an ADR, so it's trading down around $1, but great dividend yield. New River REIT, NRWRF, out of London. It's retail and leisure properties across the United Kingdom with an 8% dividend yield. So there's some serious opportunities, ladies and gentlemen, outside of the United States. Right? You are creating a massive disadvantage for yourself with your home court favoritism. Okay. And the US market, if you go back and you look over the last 5, 10, 15 years, this is a historic run. Now, the other study that I didn't really get into details, I'm just going to do bing, bing real quick. There was another study that decompressed by AQR, deconstructed returns on stocks over the last 100 years, right? It's only a little bit earnings growth. That's not really the story. It's multiple changes. Okay, so multiple changes in dividends have been the driver of stock returns for the last 100 years. So it's PE multiple expansion and cash dividends. Right now, we have no cash dividends, and the PE ratio is about as high as it's ever been. So, as a matter of fact, JP Morgan did a study that shows that when the forward PE ratio is at 22 or higher, it's at 24. That's what we think on the estimates for the year. The multiple of that, the stock market return over the next decade is between plus and minus 2%. So time to be cautious in the US, but Asia and Europe, and I didn't really have time to even really get way down into this. But this is important research, and you need to be considering it for your long-term portfolio. So politicians have biases, to sum up. Gold is not an inflation hedge. Please know what you're doing when you're trading options, and selling out of the money puts is probably a really good idea. US is extended, overvalued. Europe and Asia are not. Buy some stocks there. That's all I got for you this week.
Okay. Well, that was quite a bit. Real quickly here, Jeremy saying, what was the ticker for that UK company just described? Was that Nomura, NMR?
NMR, yes, absolutely.
Okay. And then 3D. Yeah, you know what? 3D, I was spending so much time with the PDF. I was doing so much over here. I didn't even take note of those tickers. So let me try and do.
Let me do this. Let me send you over a spreadsheet a little later today. I'll send you some Asian stocks, and I'll send you a ticker sheet full of
okay.
And you can share them with everybody tomorrow.
Okay, perfect. I'll be happy to do that. In the meantime, right here on the screen, I have 4 of them: NRWRF, CRARY, MPZZF, and NMR.
Yep.
So, okay. And you send that to me. I'll have that. I'll confirm that with you, with the audience. Or actually, excuse me, I'm not even going to call them the audience anymore. I'm going to call them the community going forward, because they do more than just watch. I will have that for you tomorrow.
All right, guys.
Or later today.
Great to be back. Really love being with the granddaughters. I'm exhausted, but we're up to the challenge moving forward. Thanks for your patience, and we'll be back every week for a while now.
No problem. Tim, I hear that keeps you young, hanging out with the granddaughters. So,
no,
good stuff there.
Trust me on this one. I felt every inch and minute of my age after a week with a high-speed sporty by 7-year-old. You know, yep. I'm glad nobody videos out there trying to play soccer, because I got schooled.
Okay, well, that's something. All right, Tim, thanks very much. I appreciate the information dump and the tickers. We'll check in with you next Wednesday.
Thanks, guys. See you.
All right, that is Tim Melvin. Entertaining and informative as always. Really good stuff there. And thank you, folks. I'm actually quite surprised. 3D, I'm sorry I didn't get all those tickers there. I'm normally pretty on top of that, but I was kind of surprised by how many people we are closing in on 30 requests for that PDF. So really good stuff there. Glad we're bringing you things that you don't see normally and making some money off of that. Okay, as we await 13, we'll go ahead and roll through a little bit more. I did really quickly want to cover this. Maybe some of you will give some eye rolls, but Cracker Barrel. Are we going to have a chart problem here? Okay, then we're just going to go to the news story here. Cracker Barrel shares jumped 7% in after-hours trading on Tuesday after the restaurant chain partially reversed its controversial logo rebrand amid political pressure and presidential commentary. So Trump took to Twitter. No shock there. And looks like they have now reversed course here. I'll be honest with you. They had a note. It's not linked here. Probably a good thing, but they put out a statement trying to defend their decision. And I'll tell you, folks, I was reading through that and I just kept thinking, this is pure panic. This is pure panic. Somebody over there made a real poor decision, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're no longer there for very long. So that segment or that little drama, Cracker Barrel is going to go back to their logo there. It did, in fact, cause the stock to pop. So maybe that will be in play here today. All right, folks, let's welcome on 13, see how he's doing here today. 13, how you doing, dude?
Oh, man. Good morning. How are you, Ryan? How's everybody in the chat? What a good morning.
We are good. I am guessing your excitement comes from the Starship launch last night, which was a ringing success. So do you want to talk about that at all, or did I completely misread you?
Oh, if you want me to go over that, it's going to be like a kid in a candy store. I mean, I had a great time watching it. It was a fantastic show. I know that these things don't normally, they're not typically exciting. They can be, but the test yesterday was just had me on the edge of my seat toward the end with the Starship deorbiting and coming back in, and things were exploding and things were flying off of it, but it still held together and the engine's still relit. I mean, it was just a fantastic show. I had a great time watching it. I mean, I could go into more detail about what went down, but we can save that for later when things are slow if you want. Okay,
let's do that though, because I am interested to see if there's going to be any stock movement on the back of that launch last night. One of the things that I did, because we've just been kind of talking about it, and I don't know what to tell you. I keep checking in on the ex-girlfriend here. I checked in on Voyager. I noticed that this didn't really move a ton. On that, I know that DXYZ, or did I get that right? DXYZ, is that this did in fact pop on that. So there's definitely going to be some stock reaction from that launch. 13, I'd love to break that down a little bit later. I think for right now, we should get the movers out of the way. We did have some that were pretty substantial here. So let's knock this out. Anything that we want to talk about for Starship, we can do later, in any related stocks. Easy for me to say. Good Lord. All right. First stock here, NBY. This is Nova Bay Pharmaceuticals. And as you can see, the stock trading up by just shy of 100%. So we do not yet have a 100% runner, but this thing's moving higher here. Soars 48% in the after hours, and then another, 48% probably. It soared again here in the pre-market. This followed a special dividend declaration. So what happened here? Nova Bay declares an 80-cent dividend payable on September 29th to shareholders of record on September 15th. So this is just a one-time dividend. The important part about this, I think, is that this is going to be payable to shareholders of record of September 15th. You might have a multi-day move in this stock, depending on what it does here, in order to capture that dividend. I'm just speculating. I don't know for sure if that's going to happen, but we're already seeing a reaction here in the pre-market and after hours in the back of this news. Short interest pretty negligible here. 1.47%, and that's on 1.43 days to cover. That comes on an average volume of 3.3 million. Today we've traded 62.5 million. The float on this is only 5 million. 13, what do you think here on NBY?
This is hilarious. Now I'll tell you why. You remember we traded this earlier this month?
I'm sorry.
We traded this one earlier this month because David Lazar bought a whole bunch of shares and became the CEO. Remember this one?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So now he's declaring a special dividend. So he's paying himself a lot. Now,
okay.
here's the math. Here's the math. So yeah, he has an almost 20% stake. So the company has 5.3 million in cash. The special dividend is going to be a little more than 4.16 million. So that's going to leave him with about a $1 million, a little more than $1 million in cash after the special dividend. Now, here's the other thing. Yes, the dividend, the record date is going to be September 15th, and the payment date is going to be September 19th. However, there's because this special dividend is going to be more
September
than
29th is the payable date, by the way.
Did I say 29th? Did I say something
You
else?
said 19th, but
I'm sorry, 29th.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, so it's the 29th. But because this special dividend represents more than 25% of the company's common stock, the NYC has advised the company that it's going to trade with due bills, meaning that if you're going to gain this special dividend, you have to hold through that record date all the way till the payment date of September 29th, or you're not going to receive the special dividend. So you have to hold it longer, not just until the 15th, but until the actual date you get paid.
Now that really good job uncovering that, 13. That's important.
And so that's going to, like you were saying about having people hold on to this for some time. Now they're going to hold on to it for another 2 weeks after that record date. So this could continue to rise.
And guess what? It's now 100% runner. Where's Smoked Tuna at?
So that was that's what the requirement here is. If you want to get that dividend, you're going to have to hold this stock through the end of September.
Interesting strategy there, especially with September being a traditional.
That David Lazar, yeah. He's doing something, isn't he?
He sure is. Okay, well, good stuff. We uncovered quite a bit there. Ticker NBY. Did you have anything else? I'm sorry.
No problem. I was just going to go to the chart, and this is actually gap filling. We are filling the gap as we speak right now. There's going to be resistance at $2, and there's a little bit of back and forth.
How about that?
From all the way up to about 225, 230. So could be a little bit of an area that's difficult to move through as soon as we hit 2. I don't know how well this is going to trade, but that area right there is going to be a little bit difficult to move through. But once we do, there's more supply above it. So I think a lot of the big move is in, and we could end up with just like a creep up, through the rest of the day, or maybe some back and forth. But this area starting at 2 is going to be a little bit harder to move through with for the stock, given all the supply up there.
Okay. Really good stuff there on NBY. Let's see what this brings for us here today. Next is going to be AZTR, and I think these were the two movers that most of the group out there was asking about. AZTR as Zitra shares are trading higher after the company announced the dosing of its first patient in its phase 1/2 trial of ATR 04-48. Let's see if we have any other color here on this. Program targets oncology patients with EGFRI associated rash. That sounds less than ideal here. It's also worth noting Friday, August 22nd, the company did a 1 for 6.66 reverse stock split. So keep that in mind. And if you're superstitious, this is the one to avoid without a doubt. Short interest on this name, 17.53% of the float shorted. And actually, this came a receipt date. You know what? That did not come after the split. So I almost wonder if that's a little bit different. Nonetheless, there is some significant short interest here. Days to cover is 1. On average, the stock trades 135,000 shares per day. Today, it's traded 54 million plus. So pretty significant jump up there. 3.5 million in the float. What do you think here, AZTR?
Someone's getting cute with that reverse split. I kind of had to look up the name Zikra in biblical mythology to see if there was any relevance. But anyway, I spent enough time with that. The point is that this company.
I'm surprised you had time to do that, but that's masterful.
When it's always a quick search. But anyway, this company needs cash, and it seems to me like this is going through all the motions of a NASDAQ recompliance. Even though I don't think I saw a compliance notice. They're going through those motions. They just did the reverse split. They still need cash. They're going to need to do a capital raise because there are just in phase one of this particular trial. They have other trials going on. There's at least 3 others that are all in either preclinical trials or phase one. So I think that this is going to be one that we have to be a little bit careful on and not stick around too long because we could get an offering as early as today. I see that they did have a filing last month to sell common stocks, but according to that filing, they're not looking to use the proceeds of any sale. So I didn't get into that. It was just kind of a headline, but I don't think that that's the filing we have to worry about. The one that we have to worry about is going to be a different filing that could come as early as today. I would just be careful with this one. Looking at the chart, we did have a really nice move up all the way to 152. We've lost VWAP since then, and it looks like we could be getting a little bit weaker as we head towards the open. The thing that we want to see here with this one is a recapture of VWAP. That'll be, give us a little bit more confidence that we can at least find some trades out of this one after we open. But if we're opening underneath the VWAP, it's going to have that task of trying to recapture that. And I don't know if it's going to be able to do that or not. So I would just, be patient with AZTR. Let's see what we get out of the open. This might continue to go lower in the pre-market. And we do have that potential capital raise coming because they're going through all the motions of doing such an event.
Yeah, we did see it was that VWAP that launched 2 of those day trades that we ended up doing yesterday. So we'll look for the same setup here again today. Okay, great stuff there, 13. Next is going to be devs. I feel like we've taken a look at this one a bunch of times, and I feel like every time it's been a disappointment. Devs here, ticker DEVS. This popped, regains NASDAQ compliance after the price recovered. Okay, cool story, bro. This thing traded up to 660. Pretty much come all the way back in. Maybe we get a move here on technicals, but to be quite honest with you, the other stocks that we've discussed here today seem like better targets to begin with. I would probably avoid this one unless this was the best setup here today. We'll keep going around the horn on this. 8.26% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. That comes on an average volume of 682,000 shares. We traded 5.8 mil today. Float's 2.27 mil, excuse me. Do you have anything on devs here?
Well, I'm having a hard time right now because what I'm seeing on Pro and what I'm seeing on my broker are 2 different things. They're pretty close to the same price, but the charts do not look similar at all. It looks so. I'll just go with
dailies or what?
The 5 minutes. They look different for some reason.
That's so strange. Mine look exactly the same.
But I'll just go with what's on Pro. It just had a pop up to 4 and was rejected. And it looks to be like that's going to be the big resistance area as of now, since we had that impulse move and then we dropped back down. The attempt to recapture 4 didn't work out, and we ended up going lower. So that's going to be a resistance area for now. Whether we break through that in the pre-market or the regular session, I don't know, but it's going to cause us to keep an eye on that level because if we do break out, I think we could go on a little bit more of a run since there's a lot less supply above 4.
Well, I'll tell you what, this thing started going on a run. As soon as I said this was not a great one to go after, it immediately popped back to the VWAP, making me look like an utter fool.
No, just keep talking more shit, and this thing will go higher.
I know. I was going to say, we'll see if this we can get this to keep going here. I've got 374 as the VWAP in here in TradingView. I've got 371 as the VWAP in my broker, so we're right there in the same area. This popping to VWAP, last time it popped to VWAP, it was rejected and met with a whole bunch of selling pressure. We'll see if the same is true here today. All right, next, not a crappy mover, but it's MDB. Mongo database reporting its earnings and absolutely knocking the cover off of the ball. MongoDB holding higher by 30.5%. Big B's, you had mentioned this earlier, how it shocked the crap out of everyone, I think is the nomenclature that's used. MongoDB shares are trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q2 financial results and raised its full year 26 guidance above estimates. It was the guide. We discussed this on Happy Hour yesterday, and look what happened here today. So not only did we get the huge print yesterday, or excuse me, the huge move yesterday on the back of the EPS print with positive guidance, but today you had a slew of re-ratings here. And actually I should, these look like price target adjustments. Maintains. Yeah, these all look like price target adjustments, not necessarily rating changes here, but boy, oh boy, it is pretty much everybody. It wasn't just Big B's that was caught by surprise. It looks like all these top analyst firms were as well. Price targets being hiked by 50 points in some cases on this name. So clearly this was a great earnings report. These price targets go into the mid 300s. The stock's at 280, and that's after being up 65 points overnight here. 13, what do you think on this? You think we can get a trade on MDB? And also, if anyone was holding this one for earnings, bring that register today, because this is one of the bigger moves that we've seen on one of these big cap stocks.
We got our 280 that we were looking for yesterday. 300 might happen. I don't know if it will or not. The chart this morning looks like it's been kind of topping out to me. Now, one of the other things, and remember we talked about this yesterday, the company still isn't, profitable. So, got to be a little bit careful there. But this could provide some good trades throughout the day. I don't know how much more upside there's going to be. It's been on a pretty big run. I would think that out of the gate, we could see some selling.
Yeah.
So that would be my expectation. But I think that if we do end up getting that, I would be looking at 260 as a pretty solid support level, with the resistance being the 500-day SMA. That's going to be at 293. So
okay.
That's kind of where I would be looking at with this. It's not a heavy float. It's thicker than normal, but it's not as big as I forget the one that we were trading yesterday that had like hundreds of millions of shares.
Sats, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Sats, yeah. So that one didn't really move a whole bunch until the end of the until the after hours, when they were getting other bids for their frequency spectrum. But this one, it should move better than that. I just don't know how much more upside we're going to get out of this. And if we are going to get upside, I think I'd cap it off at that 500-day SMA.
Okay. Real good stuff there. Let's keep moving down the list. PTNM, excuse me. This is Pitanium. I don't even think I've ever brought this up before or pulled this up before. This was $1 yesterday. It popped as high as about $1.69 here today. We retraced about 60% of that move and then made a run at VWAP, but could not get over that. Let's see. I don't have any fresh news. Last thing I have in here are some SEC forms, but that was all the way back from August 16th. Stocks up 35% here today on pretty decent volume. Negligible short interest, 0.4% in terms of the short interest, 1 day to cover. The average volume here is just 1 million shares. Today we traded over 19 million. Float here is 3.25. I'm not even sure what this company is, so without throwing you a grenade here, Pitanium is a retailer in Hong Kong focusing on the sale of proprietary brands of skincare and personal care products, especially hair care products. Okay, so there's a China name in Hong Kong. They do skin and hair care products. They're up 34% here. 13, what do you think on this?
China pump.
China pump.
That's. I mean, I could look a little bit more into this, but I didn't see any recent news. I'm seeing that it's moving on no news. It's a retailer out of Hong Kong. The more you start checking off the boxes, the more you're leaning towards this being a pumped up China stock. So that's kind of what I'd go with. I haven't seen anything to think otherwise. Maybe there's a theme around skincare and hair care products that we don't know about, but without any news that we can lean on, I would just say let's just focus on the technicals. And now,
I've been told that those Korean skincare products are the absolute rage right now. Someone will have to confirm it. I don't use any skincare products other than just regular old body wash. But apparently those are popular. Maybe there's something else going on in there. I'll be honest with you, I'm ignorant about that. So if anyone in the chat has more info, definitely let us know.
With this one, it did lose the VWAP earlier this morning. It did try to recapture it, unsuccessful. It's trying to come back up there again. And I've said before, if the more that the price hammers some of these moving averages or VWAP or any of these SMA and these MAs, they can have a tendency to push through them eventually, as long as the volume continues to expand. So I would watch the volume here, because we're gearing up to try for another push through VWAP. And if the volume does expand here in the pre-market, we might see that move through VWAP and up through 150. So just something to watch for. I don't know if I've got the stomach for this one today. The float's, it's great. It's low, just like we like it. But I don't know what this is moving on. So just go with the technicals on this one if you're going to trade it.
Okay, next is FLNT. I've been calling it Flint, but it's Fluent. Fluent shares are trading higher after the company announced a partnership with Databricks. Now, Databricks was one of those AI IPOs that we thought was going to be a hot one. We kind of thought we'd get that this year. Doesn't look like we're going to. But here we go. Fluent, a company announcing a partnership with that caused the stock to move from 225 to about 313. It's backed off that a little bit and lost the VWAP. Let's see if there's any more details on this partnership without going into appoints Virginia Marsh as head of data and agencies. Could read through the PR there. Collaboration capabilities, a strategic Databricks partnership, and key leadership hires. So probably have to go. Oh, here we go. So thank you, IR person, for giving me some key points here in bullets, so I don't have to skim through a whole text wall. Seamlessly collaborate and share data across organizational boundaries using open, secure data sharing technology. Enrich and activate high intent audiences segments across media platforms. Automate insights and measure with AI powered modeling. Monetize own data assets in a compliant, privacy forward way. Those all seem fairly vague, but nonetheless, stocks responding plus almost 22% here. 0.22% of the float shorted with 1.31 days to cover. Comes on an average volume that's less than 100,000 shares. Today we've traded 14 million plus. The float here is 10.5 mil. What do you think on this? Fluent, ticker FLNT.
Company unfortunately needs cash. They have a little less than 5 million in the bank, but they burn through 7 to 8 a quarter. They did have one good quarter last year where they didn't lose as much, but on average, it's up there. It's more than what they've got. So this is another one that I would have a little bit of a concern with them doing a capital raise, and with their float, being around just a little bit more than 10 million, they can afford to dilute. But I don't know how much they're going to need to raise. They just had their earnings earlier this month, so it looks as though their balance sheet that we have here in Pro is going to be accurate. Looks like they did do a private placement for 10 million. So I guess that kind of solves that a little bit. Although I would like to see, that reflected on the balance sheet. I'm not sure why it isn't, but if that's the case, then maybe they don't need to do a capital raise. But I still would treat that with a little bit of caution if the balance sheet is accurate. As far as the chart goes, another one that's trading underneath VWAP. Another one that's going to have to recapture it. And if we don't get that prior to the open, I would just wait for it to set up. I don't know if it's going to continue to drop down. And, it looks like it could have topped out a little bit around $3. So I think I'd be more comfortable just letting this one set up out of the open instead of trying to take a position too early.
Okay, makes a lot of sense. Next here is going to be Kohl's, ticker KSS. This actually dipped yesterday in near the end of the session. Held lower in the after hours, but today we are higher. Kohl's shares are trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q2 financial results and raised full year 2025 revenue outlook. So Kohl's having good earnings, plus 21.7%. Let's take a look here. Short interest name, squeeze me home, daddy, because this is one that we had talked about here before. 44.19% of the float shorted with 5.16 days to cover. This is without a doubt high short interest and easily the name that we looked at today with the highest short interest. So some squeeze potential here. On average, it trades 12.2 million. It's already traded 5.5 million. It's got a big float, about 80 million. What do you think here on Kohl's? You interested in this on the back of its earnings report?
Yeah, this might actually provide some pretty good trading today. I just have a little bit of a concern once we get up to 17. We're at 1585 right now, so that's okay. But if you look at a daily chart, you can see that at 17, that was a former area of support. And once we lost it, we have not been back up there, save one day that we traded all the way up to 2139 and gave it all right back. So that's gonna be my big concern. There could be some resistance, or actually we've already passed that. So 1530 could be some support from here, but yeah, I think that 17 area is where I'd have the most concern, and that sideways price action is going to be from about 17 to 19. So a couple of dollars right there. That's going to need some good volume in order to chew through it. But we've seen this thing, open much higher at almost $20 previously, actually just last month. Don't exactly know what the news was, but I'm assuming that was also during the time where we were seeing a whole bunch of other short squeezes occur. So I would just kind of lean on those levels, 17, 19, and that 21.39 toward the upside as resistance.
Okay. Really good stuff there. Next on the list here, DSS. Someone else had asked about this. I think a couple of you are looking at this here today. DSS, wild move in the after hours yesterday. Let's go over to the news tab and see what's going on here with this. I don't see anything here. Last piece of news I have was a 13D from Friday in last week. I have no other news here for DSS. It is up by just about 24%. We take a look at the short interest here. Not really a whole lot on this name. 1.21% with 1.86 days to cover. Pretty negligible in both accounts there. The stock doesn't trade very much normally. 146,000 shares of average volume. Today we've traded over 5 million. Float here is 3.8 million. This moving here with no news. The only thing I could really lean on here would be technicals. This one did just move above the VWAP. So unlike some of these other ones, 13, we've already got one move above the VWAP. We'll see A, if it can hold into the open, and B, if there's a little bit more. But just kind of looking at this, not a huge catalyst here. Maybe just some technicals. Maybe just trade the range up to the top end of the after hours move. What do you think?
It might have to do with something. I don't know this for a fact, but I'm just reading what this company does. They operate 5 different segments: product packaging, biotechnology, commercial lending, securities and investment management, and direct marketing. So they're kind of all over the place, it seems. But what got my attention was the product packaging, and I'm wondering if this is going to be one of those reorganizing of supply chains type of company. I don't know for a fact. I'm just kind of thinking out of the box here because they are a commercial services and supplies company, and that's one of their business segments. So I don't know for any reason why this is going, but I was just kind of thinking maybe it might have something to do with that. I could be wrong. Let's just look at the technicals, since that seems to be the most reliable thing that we can lean on. To me, this is at an area of some resistance, because this price action we were getting in the pre-market here, where we kind of went sideways, that's created a bit of a supply zone here. Now, if we get through that, that's going to be at about $2. When we get through that, we might be able to trade, see this trade a little bit better up to about 220, where you encounter the next area of supply. So I'd say that on a break of $2, you probably get 20 cents out of it before you run into some more resistance. But that resistance is going to be from about 220 to, looks like about 235, 240. And then there's not a whole lot of supply above that, just some of the traders that were basically scalping the top of this when we had the move up to 267. So that's the areas I'd be looking at here for resistance, is that $2 and that 220.
Okay. 3 minutes left here. The only stock that was asked about that we didn't get to was BTAI. You guys said that there was a halt going on here. So BTAI, it looks like it traded up in the after hours yesterday, a little bit higher in the pre-market, but got whacked here. Let's see what's going on. They were indeed halted. But then they released a PR here 5 minutes later. BioXcel Therapeutics announces Serenity at-home pivotal phase 3 study trial met its primary endpoint in support of NVDA submission for a label expansion for one of its drugs. So it met the primary endpoint there. So it's down 4.77% here. So 13. Phase 3 is over. I almost wonder what the balance sheet looks like here. Yeah, they don't have any cash. They have a little bit of cash, but it's enough to cover 1 quarter. That's it. So I got to think. I don't know. Maybe you see something else in here. It kind of looks like they'd be looking to do a capital raise here on BTAI. Looks like maybe a sell the news event. We basically just got pounded right back down to where we were at in the regular session yesterday. What do you make of this 13?
If I had a little more time to look through some of these these notes or filings that they have here, I'm sure we could get a better answer because this doesn't seem like this is the primary objective of the at-home trial for Serenity. That's kind of what I'm getting at here. Is I think that we would have to see what's going on. They also have a conference call that's going on right now. It started half an hour ago, so there's probably something in there that's also pulling this down. That would be my secondary guess. I don't have a good answer. If there's a conference call that's going on right now, that's probably what's pulling this down. That would be my guess.
Okay.
Let me look at the chart and see if I can get anything else out of here.
Here,
we have
Robert.
We're open. Sorry, we're open.
Yeah, Robert says they talked about other options for raising capital and protecting the stock price. Well, the market looks like it doesn't believe it because the stock price is getting hit.
All right.
Okay,
so
we are open.
The low of yesterday was 474. We're approaching that right now. We'll see if that provides any support here for BTAI. Meanwhile, NBY is blasting off to 2. So in that direction right now. AZTR, that's getting some support, trying to recapture its VWAP. Devs had a pop that we mentioned earlier. We sold a little bit into the open. That may have created a bit of a bull flag here. Let's see if this can get going. Seems to have run into resistance around the 380s DEVS. MongoDB, that did not sell off at the open. We got a little bit of a pop up to 285 and 67 cents, but haven't gone any higher since. PTNM, not able to get it back above its VWAP yet, despite testing it. And FLNT, that is still going down. That might continue lower. I think we talked about support being around 250 to 240. We'll see if that happens. KSS, higher now. 1683 is the current high. That might still move higher. And then DSS, just kind of chopping around here.
And real quick, Rich Tech Robotics, ticker RR. What a call from Izzy yesterday. I know we talked about this as this was really starting to move away from 250. But look where this thing finished. RR finishing above 3, actually popped out of the gate. It's coming back in a little bit now. But boy, oh boy, Izzy, if you're out there, if you're not busy here today, what a call on this. Hopefully you made some good bank off this one.
And BY coming back in.
I'm going to leave devs on the screen here. We're still beneath the VWAP, so maybe we get a rocket. Give me 1 sec. I'll be right back.
Okay. I did a little trend line here on the top of NBY just because we keep getting some higher high prints. So just doing a little trend line to see if we can get a break over that. That's going to be resistance until that happens. AZTR, this is trying to push through 138. There's a large seller in the way there. So we'll see if we get enough volume expansion to push through that. That's also going to be a little bit above the resistance area of 135 in AZTR, where we were getting support in the pre-market before we lost it. So let's see if we can get enough volume to push through 135 and 138 seller and go into the 140s. Looks like Devs is still trying to push up now. It's above VWAP. And not a whole lot happening with NBY at the moment. PTNM, after that VWAP rejection, it's going lower. We are starting to get some selling here out of MDB and Flint, which is actually Fluent. That just had an ugly knife right down to the 65 EMA, down to where we were looking for support around that 240 area. It's reversing there, so nice little bounce. DSS looking to make we're trying to get through some of this pre-market consolidation. This is the one where we were looking at resistance at 2. It's making its way up there right now, very slowly though.
Lambo Roll says no one can hear you. You're going in and out. 13 is like you chopped like a salad.
I chop like a salad. Okay, you know what? Let me back off. I'll be right
Blazed
back.
Rhino says sound is fine.
Oh, okay.
I hear you fine. I don't hear any issue. I think you're good. Let's maybe try refreshing the stream, viewers, and see if maybe that helps here.
And I can try something over on my end if people are still having an issue. Looks like we're getting a lot of selling all of a sudden right now across all these names. NBY down, AZTR sideways, devs trying to push up, but MDB that's selling off, PT NM that's selling off, FLMT that went down to that 65 EMA and bounced, KSS selling, a lot of selling right now, folks.
Yeah, it looks like everyone's saying it's fine. Okay, so that might have just been a little snafu there. Yeah, nothing really going here. I kind of watching DSS off of that. Looked like it might try and go. No bueno, not yet.
Nope. Just gonna have to wait a little bit here and see what we end up.
And now AZTR, maybe if this goes through the VWAP here, it's trying.
Yeah,
see if we get above that. 135 is what I got. Yep.
That's the resistance area, and they did have a big seller at 138. I don't see him there anymore, so they may have just taken it off or spread it out. See what we end up getting there. Devs, this is just put in a new high, so above all the pre-market price action now. Looks like it's trying to push higher. Just be careful. Here comes MDB down to the 65 EMA. This looks like if it can't hold here, we're going to get a pretty good size move down. I think that we may end up getting our 260 test here, maybe in the morning, if this doesn't hold here. So we'll see if that happens.
Here's Sats. This is basically holding where it was in the pre-market. We'll see if this can get rolling here. Devs above its man, AZTR that got whacked. Devs above its VWAP here.
What got whacked?
AZTR. Oh. Look for 112 entry. If 112 holds, that comes from Smoke Tuna.
We got a bit of a downtrend happening here, so you can do a trend line on AZTR as well. If you start with the 152 high and draw it through the high of the regular session. Oh, that okay. So no, that's Devs. Sorry, never mind.
Devs here coming back into the VWAP. I'd be curious to see if this holds here on Devs, or if this falls away from the VWAP. 367 is that VWAP. We'll see if this ends up working here on Devs. We really want to push above. Boy, I'll tell you what, a run to 4 would be pretty good here on Devs if it can get rolling. Volume actually looks pretty good, but it is struggling to push away from this area here. It actually brought in a bid there at the VWAP.
There's that seller that was at 138 in AZTR.
Here we go on Devs. Bang, bang, bang. This might still be going higher here. Nice little scalp out of the gate. We'll see.
It's certainly
Devs,
trying to push up.
Sorry. Smoke Tuna says Devs, not enough volume. Sorry, 13. I ran you over like 3 times there.
That's okay. I was just saying, it looks like it's trying to get going here, trying to push.
Yeah, it sure does.
But just let's see. The float's small, so and if there's not enough volume, like he's saying, and I think that he's right. It does look like we need more volume. Be careful of a big sudden sell. We could just see this thing absolutely just go right back down with how low this float is. So be careful here. If you hit your target, don't be afraid to take profit. Looks like
the other thing is the other thing with these low floats too is that we talked a lot about making sure that you're able to book your gains there. These things are just all over the map there. Even that little push away here to 4, there was some back and forth in there. Let's see what happens here at 4. I'd be curious to see if this pops above. We had a huge range in the pre-market, so if this continues to trade in that range, there could be some good trades here. Tenzin bought Google weeklies. Tenzin, where do you see Google going? So are they the weeklies for this week? So you're looking for today, tomorrow, and Friday? What's the expiry on that too? A lot of Tesla calls coming across the board, by the way. Tesla spiked here right out of the open, topped at 355 and backed off. Number of call buys following that. And there we go with Devs. That's above 4. I might have been out of that one a little too early. Billy here saying Devs target 5.5. And that's going to be right in here, right? Yeah, this is about from one of the areas where the second pullback candle in the pre-market here.
So Google, you could draw a trend line on the top side of all the highs, like starting with July of 2024, and that could give you an idea of where Google's next area of resistance could be. So that's based on that trend line, we could see this go to 225.
Okay, 225. Here's your daily chart on Google. Looks pretty good, honestly.
Yeah. So that just draw a trend line on the top of those highs.
Okay, we'll do here. And also devs pulling back off of that 4 pop. We'll see if it gears up for another run there. I actually
no. Earlier than that. Start with July of 2024.
My bad.
There you go. And then drop.
There we go, dude. And now.
Yep. There you go. And that'll give you an area where we could see that next resistance kick in, which should be about 225.
Thank you. Okay, so I actually just really quickly there on devs did not do a great job there. It looks like it went a little bit further, was out of it just a little too early, but that's okay. Still got a little bit of lunch money on that. And then we're 1 for 1 here today. So we're starting the day off in the positive column.
NHD is getting mentioned that this is moving up. Now in the pre-market, this has gone up a couple of times. Yeah, this has gone up a couple of times, and it's approaching the area where it had resistance. So we could, okay, well now it's hitting resistance. So this was 515, 512 area here. That's resistance from that first impulse move up this morning. We do have that 558 high, and we could also potentially hit as resistance. But just keep in mind those levels there, and then we after that we can look to the left and see that beyond those highs of the pre-market, we did have a regular session of that high of 624 that happened on Monday. So just another area to keep in mind if we do move up. Looks like we're pulling off of that after hitting that one of those pre-market highs already. So that's NHD.
I don't see Izzy. He must be busy here today. Amazon did the typical pattern there, which unfortunately, I always feel like I'm too slow to get back to Amazon. We dipped a little bit right out of the open, basically down to the pre-market lows, I guess a little bit further than that. Immediate move to the upside here in Amazon. I do think 230 probably coming here today. There we go. There's Izzy. Doesn't even say hello. Says, I told you guys our boom yesterday. You just missed this, Izzy. I just shouted you out on this one. RR had another pop here today before coming back to basically where it opened. This was a great move yesterday. This was a great move, Izzy. Good, really good stuff. And I love that you're not yelling at us. Watch ARAC, Ryan. So I had mentioned this yesterday, Lion. Glad to see more folks are on this one now. ARAC here, this was actually given by another one of my buddies here, said, hey, this is going to go on a run. Did that on Friday, right in here. Look where we're at. So we're a dollar higher here. ARAC still going. This is American Resources, by the way. And this here constructs and or purchases and manages a chain of combined gasoline, diesel, and natural gas fueling and service stations. So that's what AREC does here. This up 14%. This is at a good couple of days in a row.
Devs is putting in a series of upper shadows, but it's still above VWAP. So there's a little bit of caution here. I think it should be exercised. It's been trying to get over 4 again, not able to close above that yet. So just something I'm flagging here for devs. Just be careful with this one if we do end up going beneath VWAP.
INHD, this is now coming back up to the top end of the range here. Volume still looks pretty good here in INHD. This, to my eye, looks like it's going to try and pop this. But you know what, 13, I see a trend line.
Oh, yeah.
I see a trend line there. We'll see if we can get above that. INHD. Really kind of stopping at 5 at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
How's MDB doing? Okay, so we actually did not get a gap and go here on MDB. That almost makes me wonder if this 30% move is just a little rich for traders, at least earlier. Webcoin mentioning that KSS, our short squeeze play here today, is dipping. Maybe this gives us entry if this holds here, KSS. What do you think, Webcoin?
Yeah,
or 13, anyone? Sorry.
I mean, like this could still move down to the 65 EMA. That would put it down at 1480. But there are some, support levels on the way down. If we don't, if it's not going to get down to there, then there's another one at about 1525 that should provide some support.
The one that I'm sorry, I was just going to say the one that I'm looking at here is this low from the pre-market. I've got this at 1546. Maybe it's 1547. All selling volume here on Coles. We had that nice little pop out of the open, but it has just been met with a bunch of selling volume.
In HD, by the way, that is
INHD, right?
INH, yeah, NH, yeah.
In
I said,
HD is what you're saying.
yeah.
I kept
Sorry.
I kept thinking you were saying NHD. I was like, man, you were missing a letter here.
No,
I got it. Though. I got it. I'm stupid.
terrible
That's
at
all.
talking.
I'm terrible at talking. That's not true.
So yeah, that did go through 5 a little bit there. It had a really nice move, but kind of slowed down. I mean, I don't know how much more we're going to get out of NHD in HD at the moment, but we do have VWAP that it's above, so there's a support area. I'm looking around here at some of these other ones. Looks like PTNM might be finding a bottom. We'll have to see if that ends up happening. It did come down to the 65 EMA. The volume on this is very, very low though, so not interested in this one at the moment, but it looks like it's slowed down to selling.
Smoke Tuna mentioning AZTR at its load zone here. I'll be honest, this does not look great here, Tuna. Just a chart, a rejection from the VWAP, but if it finds support here, maybe. More Tesla calls. Tesla reversed that huge pop, but I'm still seeing calls get bought into that. Webcoin KSS, you might as well wait for an overreaction to the downside, maybe 1445. I think I'd like that a lot more, Webcoin, especially if it pulled quickly to that level.
Yeah, I think that'd be better. FLNT, this is at its VWAP. Volume expands here. We could get a push through and see some higher prints. There are some sellers in the way. Large seller at 272, 275, and 281.
Okay.
Looks like AZTR continuing lower. This may have a date with the dollar.
NAMI, this is popping on volume. Number of you folks are on this. Jacob saying, what is this NAMI? That's a good question. Jixin Technologies, or Jinzin, I'm sorry if I'm butchering that. Jinzin Technologies Holdings is a company which operates through its subsidiaries, are principally engaged in the provision of digital textbook subscription services in the People's Republic of China. That is shady, I would say. But it did pop here. It looks like a China pump there.
Digital textbook subscription services.
Jacob saying it's AI learning.
We're never going to own anything ever again, not even our textbooks. AZTR look like it's starting to come back. Getting a little bit of a bid here. Let's see if it can pop back up.
Yeah, I do see some size here at this 115.
Learning glasses. Oh, I thought this was a subscription. So it's learning glasses?
Boy, there is just more stock being added for sale here at 115 on AZTR.
I guess I missed the part about you saying glasses, and I was focused on the textbook subscription. So yeah, you're right. It is glasses. I was not paying attention. AI-powered learning glasses. So how does that compare to Meta or the Ray-Bans, or do they just buy a bunch of those and reverse engineer them and say, hey, let's make these and call them our own, because that's what they do.
Here's RR. This move continuing. Is he getting it done here? I'll tell you what.
Anne Marie, super shady. I see what you did there because they're shades. Gotcha.
Oh, that's good stuff here from the group. Okay, AZTR Tuna. Man, oh man. I know it's early, but boy, oh boy, the loading zone that Tuna called here at 113 on AZTR. So far, so good.
FLNT.
We getting a move there?
Big move through VWAP.
There it is. FLNT. There it is.
This might run into some resistance around 3, but that's still 20 cents away from here.
You know, not only did this turn up, but we actually have expanding volume here as well. Oh, and it ran away from the buy order there at 280. Walmart is the rumor for the retail on RR. Izzy, that's good stuff. That's right. I appreciate that.
NHD.
Damn.
Pushing up to those pre-market highs of 558. The current high of the session is 555. We are getting a little bit of a back off now.
Look at DDD, Triple D, 3D, the stock, not the community member. 3D here running right out of the open, all buying volume. Was there news on this? Yes. $7.65 million contract from the U.S. Air Force. U.S. Air Force going to be 3D printing some of its parts now, it looks like.
I mean, SpaceX already does that, and they're sending buildings up into space.
3D popping here. SYSS would be another SSYS, excuse me. Stratasys, this is another 3D printer name. This is not really responding, so that looks to be unique to Triple D. Here's AZTR. Tuna just, man, what a call on the load zone. I know we're only up 5 cents from that area, but the call was crispy.
NHD mention was probably one of the greatest mentions so far we have this morning.
Look at NVIDIA ahead of earnings. Is this foreshadowing, you think, 13?
Well, what is there news?
Well, they're not yet. There will be this afternoon.
I know, but I'm talking about now. All right,
yeah, I don't think there was anything new that we didn't know about. That was a recap article on the ChatGPT, OpenAI.
Oh God, this is going to be awesome for our happy hour chat. Look at this top headline here on the newsfeed for NVIDIA.
Scott Bessent says acquiring a stake in NVIDIA not on the table.
Hints shipbuilding sector could be next. We have talked about this for a while now, and we've been talking about how South Korea was going to be part of that because of their shipbuilding capacity. Well, we just had this president of South Korea over here in the United States, and they discussed shipbuilding. I think we need to be really hyper focused on some of these shipbuilding stocks, and I think we've got a list in the happy hour chat. I'll have to look at that later.
Okay. AREC, by the way, AREC. I'm seeing some 250 calls now. Bought 1,220 of them. About a 200K bet there.
Now, I know that some folks were in Huntington Ingalls earlier, like Robert was, and that's been doing well all year. That's actually, let's see, we started the year pretty much almost at the lows. February is when we had the lows, and that was down at 157, 158. It's now 273.5.
Adam Thielen getting traded back to the Vikings. He's going back home.
MongoDB is pushing up higher now, looking to take out the session high of 285.67.
Here you go. Maybe we're going to finally get our breakout here on MDB. Tuna calls Ryan today. Izzy, the only thing that Tuna has really called here was the AZTR, at least as far as I'm aware. It was dead on.
Shipbuilding going to be big, methinks? I absolutely agree. It will be. 70% of ships floating for commercial freight made in China. Yes. And yes, you're right about all that. The administration absolutely wants to change that. They also want to charge any country that's using Chinese ships coming into American ports. We want to change the entire, shipbuilding industry, global shipbuilding industry, to be more favorable to Western nations and not so heavily reliant on China.
MDB looks like that's going to try and go here. I got reservations about chasing something up 30% after earnings, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, and it looks like INHD is trying to push through that pre-market high and look for those highs from yesterday.
NBY looking like this actually just took out the VWAP, looking like it might be trying to push away from that. 169 is the VWAP that I've got on NBY. And
we have no closes, even in the in the pre-market or the regular session, above 185. So I think that's going to be a bit of a resistance area if we get up there. 185 NBY.
Yep, I think you're right on that.
We still haven't got this. AZTR does look like it's kind of like basing. We're trying to put in some kind of a footing, but it hasn't turned around completely yet. It looks like we're kind of getting some sideways price action. Would like to see this turn around. There's still a possibility this comes down to $1, though.
DSS looks like this might be rolling over here. NBY continuing. It's a slow grind higher, but it has been continuing so far.
KSS, keep an eye on it. We just had a move through VWAP. This could get going and squeeze.
Let me bring that up here. That is the squeeze play of the day.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I wanted to play here today, 13. So that would be sick if we ended up getting that move.
All right, so Deb's not able to recapture VWAP. That's going lower, finding some support in the demand zone from about $2.85 to $3. So if we lose 285 or 280, I think that we're going to end up testing the 65 EMA on the 5-minute. RR is gone.
Yeah, that was a really good call, Izzy. I'm sorry I wasn't on this one yesterday with you. This was really, really good, and it has a continuation here today. Coles might be stopping, by the way, at least for right now. AZTR getting mentioned. Are we continuing with that?
For RR, I see on a daily chart, I see resistance from 380 to 415, and we're not there yet. We still at least 30 cents away from that.
Ondis, new intraday highs, 525 on Ondis. Let's go. Let's go. And Cole's continuing here a little bit. See if Cole's...
Lion, the ones that lean more towards democracy, does that work for you?
1650 looks to be the spot here on Coles. I think if it pops that, maybe it tries to take out the top of that candle. Ondis looking really good. They also had a piece of news here today. Not sure how much it's actually going to have an immediate impact. Ondis Holdings appoints Mark Green as the head of global corporate development and M&A.
Interesting, because we are
that is
there could be some increased M&A activity.
Indeed.
Coming. So we'll have to look up his record and see what he does. If he's being brought in specifically for M&A, there could be some kind of acquisition coming from that company into something that's publicly traded that we could get into before that happens.
That's right. And also here regarding Ondis, 527 was your high print from yesterday's pop out of the open. Looks like Ondis is going to try and take that again here today.
It is making its way through some of these resistance levels. Next big one is going to be 6. And I think you can see just how tough that one is. Big support level back in 2020 all the way through 2020 to the end of 2021. And then in January, when we had that invasion with Russia invading Ukraine, we ended up coming down to 5. Bounced around, but ended up going lower.
Okay, INHD. We'll see if it can take out this trend line here.
It's looking a little, I'm not saying that this is done, but it's starting to look like it's losing some steam.
NAMI looks like this got rejected here at 2, although it's not done yet. AZTR still hanging out at the load zone at 114. I'm not in that, by the way. I didn't take AZTR.
Yeah, it's just kind of putting in some kind of a base here. We'll see if this holds up. Really need to see a move over VWAP from here, though. Otherwise, we are going to come down and test that $1 area, I think.
PTNM, maybe this loads down here at 116, maybe?
It's been kind of bottoming here around 115 for a while, and the 65 EMA on the 5-minute. If we do get a turnaround here, it's got a lot of resistance levels to get through, starting at 120. It seems like there could be resistance every 5 cents for this one.
Let's check in. Coles is trying to go higher, but boy, oh boy, it's starting to slow down a little bit here. Part of me wonders if this is, I almost think we can probably draw a trend line on here. Let's see if this trend breaks on Coles.
AZTR is starting to get going. It just tested VWAP, tried to push through it, got rejected, but not done yet. Let's see if it can push through this time. There could be a big outsized move coming here with this one, as some of these levels that it has to get through has large concentrations of sellers. So if a big buyer comes and takes that out, we could see a really big move in the price action.
Also, this one's got the tuna blessing.
Yes. Absolutely has a tuna blessing. MDB putting in new session highs, 287.22 now. it seems like
RR continuing to go. It looks like Cracker Barrel is on the scanner here. Cracker Barrel, maybe that revisits 62.
yeah, you know, funny
Triple
how they're
D 250. Wow.
funny how they're going to change their logo back, but I think they also need to change the stores back to the way they were, and that's going to be expensive.
Yep. And how much did they spend? What, 30 million on that redesign as it was? Something like that? I mean,
if they can, their CEO, they can cover the costs. That seemed like the right way to go about it. Since she's the one that kind of signed off on this mess. KSS, waiting to see if this thing is going to get going here or not. It's holding view up for the moment, but we need to see some increased volume here.
yeah, that trend line seems to really be stopping it. By the way, I've got VWAP there on Coles 1585. So even if it yanked back to that and stopped there, maybe it'll be all right.
In HD, if this doesn't get above 560,
trend line coming.
If this does, I was going to say, if this doesn't get above 560, then I think we're coming back in towards 450.
Around here, it does look like INHD is being traded amongst the Twitter group out there.
Sideways price action with NBY and AZTR. Devs looks like we're coming down to that demand zone between 285 and 3. We're just above it. So if we get support here, watch for this to turn around. Looks like you're maybe right about PTNM, although it's moving very slowly and needs much better volume, but it does seem like it's trying to turn around here off of that 115 and 65 EMA.
ALLR, Lion mentioning this one. This was a mover yesterday that really just kind of disappointed. Here's what it looked like. It really just kind of stayed sideways and then got wrecked. Does look like it's curling up here. Coles, by the way, back down to the VWAP and doing its best to hold on to it right now.
Next resistance areas for ALLR, 155 and 160.
Okay. Serve, this one also, I guess, like Rich Tech here, like ticker RR Serve, very similar trading action here today as this is ripping higher.
PTNM seems to be getting a little bit more love here.
On this big block of sellers there at 530, I think it pops if that gets taken out. Big block of sellers. PTNM did start to reverse.
Yeah.
And Cole's still holding that VWAP.
Take you to 6 and ONDS if it pops.
Would love it. Already trimmed some yesterday. Keep going.
Great trade. You know, I'll keep telling you until you're completely out of it, but that was a great trade.
Or you might be telling me for a while because I might hold some of those shares for a long time.
Okay, then when you talk about it, I'll congratulate you.
There we go. There we go. 530, still that resistance area there on Ondas. Coles beneath its VWAP now, but not breaking down from it.
Not too impressed with the price action movement here with some of these names today. Still waiting for AZTR to do something here. Still holding up this, around the same area that it's been hanging out at for the past 20 minutes. Google rising.
Indeed.
BTAI curl. Let me look at BTI again. It does look like it's kind of found some kind of footing. It's still beneath its VWAP though, and that pre-market supply zone now, that's going to be tough, and that's going to be looks like
Ondas through 530. Sorry.
Perfect. It looks like that's going to be you're going to run into that supply area at about 490, and it doesn't end until about 525, 530.
Eric says Benzinga, the king of FUD. Eric, I got something for you. I promise it'll be good.
You bet.
Have a nice one, bro. NHD
is now higher. 577 is the high that just printed. We got new session highs.
And there's your trend line break. Boom.
I've got another trend line that indicates where this could go, and if it's correct, that means we're going to be into the pretty well into the 6 handle. by the time we hit resistance again.
Okay, 625, 6.25 was the high from Monday on INHD. Kohl's looks like it popped a little bit there, but came right back in. That would have been too short. If you were in that, maybe lightning on that for a scalp would have worked, but that happened quick. So not the greatest setup there.
AZTR, it's still hanging in there, and we're starting to get a little bit more volume expansion, but it still needs to expand some more. But just keep an eye on it because it hasn't broken down yet.
Izzy says, Ryan, any trades? Yes, we did a dev scalp here. We are 1 for 1 so far. Nothing huge, but 1 for 1. I was looking at Kohl's here, but it doesn't feel great. That pop would have been nice to scalp, but I wasn't in it, so couldn't take advantage of that. But 1 for 1 nonetheless is.
Scalp devs, and then I traded NHD.
Nice.
Didn't stick around for this move that we just got, but I did have a good time with the reversal after it that first red candle where it sold off and bounced. That was a good little reversal there.
So Jared here, this is interesting. Jared's saying, are we trading INDH right now? So here, let me go back to that here. INHD, did I say DH? Yeah, I think I did. I think I screwed the ticker up here. Here's what we got, Jared. So here's what I'm thinking. If we can back test this trend line and really kind of hold and the volume remains strong, I think that you could probably try this again. I think better still it would be the 509 of VWAP entry here, but then we're really going to contend with the trend line again. Watch to see if it back tests this area and holds, and that value for you, let's call it 553. Let's just call it 550. If this back tests 550 and holds, maybe you could make a case for some entry there. Tenzin, doing all right with Google? Hey, Tenzin, good move here. That nice little dip, 206. Look like you had a 2-point rip there on Google. Tenzin, you think this goes higher? Or you said, I think you said you're done with this. Google is done for the day because I took my money out. So you don't really think 210, 211 possible here near term on Google? Let me know.
Seems like 210 is going to be tested again. That is the next area to get over. We did have one test on Monday, but was rejected. So I'd like to see another attempt to get above 210. I don't need to see it print above it. Just want to see it go up there and try and hammer that level. KSS here. I'd be watching to see if it breaks through this trend line. We're now holding above the VWAP. The volume is compressing a little bit here, so not the greatest thing, but maybe a pop above this trend line draws some more folks in. Seller right here at 615. If they get taken out, we might see some good movement again.
Not a bad day again early on.
You're right.
Anyone think Tesla's tradable down here? Tesla maybe defends these lows for the day. That might not be a bad day trade.
Let's see here. I think I'd prefer to see it hit 360, but 350 is fine too. I don't like the way the daily candle looks at the moment. It looks like it's end of the rally kind of candle, but we still have a whole day, and we've only been trading for 37 minutes. So need to see some more what the rest of the day is going to give us. But right now, I don't like the way the candle looks on the daily chart.
Okay, good stuff there. Tenzin says, yes, there are higher volume on the options next month on Meta. Okay, I was asking about Google. Maybe you're not answering me. Ondas, 542. Who's having a good time with Ondas? Let's go.
NBY went down to the 65 EMA. Might try to reverse here, so something to watch for on that one. AZTR knocking on the door of 120, trying to say, let me in, little pig. And Devs is still having a hard time after that nice move up to 416. This has done very little in the way of upside. And looks like 3 is going to still be that support area for DEVS.
NVIDIA, this bounced off yesterday's intraday low, actually seeing some call sweeps here as well on NVIDIA. I have no way of telling for sure if they're holding this through the print. Let me see what these. Yeah, these are all September or this week. So it looks like the option trades here are for the earnings print here today on NVIDIA.
Here we go, possibly with AZTR. It's hitting this 125 area. We got to get above it, and then we can break through this this trend line. I don't think you've got it drawn, but I started with the 152 high and drew through the regular session high. Yeah. Started there.
Got it.
Excellent.
Got it.
So looking for a break there.
RR 350. Izzy's call has come true again. Way to go, Izzy. Lion says, I may go long Tesla if it comes down to 322.
I like that area. I got 325 marked off. 322, that's still beneath the 50-day SMA. That's at 323. Still like the area, though. I think that's a good spot.
Cole's still holding above its VWAP, by the way.
Yeah.
AZTR. Let's see if we can get above that trend line there.
Let's just get a nice big push.
Needs some more volume to flow into that.
Where the whales at?
INHD. So look at this. So Jared, I think it was you that asked about this. Look at this candle. I know I took it off the screen here, but this 5-minute candle, we basically back tested the trend line. We were off by 6 cents. 6. This thing did bounce. It's going higher. It looks like a 6 test coming here, INHD.
6 test, if not that high from Monday, if not the top of the trend line. I don't think you have that drawn, but I drew a short-term trend line that started with the 450 pre-market high, and then the 630 pre-market high. Just draw it through those, and that'll give you so basically those two highs from the pre-market.
For the intraday target here, let me add that 13.
Yeah.
Doot.
Yeah.
There we go.
That's
see if
right.
we end up getting to that.
At this stage, it's looking more like 670 could be the spot. Making its way, they're trying to make its way through 6 right now.
Jay, yeah, I do remember MOB. This is Mobilecom. We've actually traded this a few times. I don't have a position in this, but nice move here again today. And this has been a nice multi-day move from 4. This is $1.70 in just a couple of sessions. Really good move here on MOB. Wasn't in this one though myself.
Oh, Jay, yeah, that's a great throwback call here. MOB, that thing's almost back to its IPO high. Not too much further to go. That is going to be the value's going to be $6.66. Okay, there you go.
AREC continues up. This was wheels up, right? Wasn't this a we talked about this one yesterday when this had this huge move. Was this a Twitter trader? Was this Jake again on wheels up? I think we talked about this one yesterday. Looks like some more continuation here though.
This one has this company's been selling its non-core services. So they just had news last week about them selling 3 non-core business services for $20 million. I don't know if that's the big reason it's moving or not. I haven't seen anything else, but maybe there's something in the Form 144s that explain that better. All right, so AZTR not able to get above VWAP yet. And
on this little pull from that pump.
This seems like the market doesn't have the volume it did earlier this week.
Go ahead.
Although we are getting some pretty decent volume in HD, that now has a high of 608.
And the thing I was going to say with the SPY here, a little bit of a dip, but really we cannot take out this resistance area. This resistance area does go back to Friday, right? So the Jackson Hole, let's call it the Jackson Hole candle. We are still inside that candle. Realistically, we'd need to take out 646.5. We're staying under there. We're actually staying under the pre-market highs as well here so far on SPY. So still inside, not really making a huge move. We'll see if that changes though. I am seeing some triple D calls here, so that is continuing its run. 250, the spot there on DDD.
Is he asking for next levels for RR? Let's see what we got here. And you were asking about 390.
STSS. This now moving higher here. Looks like this is at the top end of the consolidation from Monday. What do you got here on RR? You want to give some levels for it, 13?
He was asking about the 390 level. I see what he's talking about. That's the high back at the beginning of the year in January. Not the one that we put in at the very beginning of the year. That one took us up to 520. I'm referring to the ones in later January where we tried to go higher but were rejected. So I think that's what you're referring to. And if that's the case, then yeah, I would say that that's going to be the potentially the next resistance area. But I'd probably give it a little bit of leeway and say 390 to 4. We could get a slight print above that. Just, it could happen if we move up there quickly enough. But with the daily RSI being what it is, that's potentially where we could see this party end for the time being. RSI right now is 83, and getting to 390, that could be an area where sellers start to kick in.
Let me ask the group a question here. Meta on its way back to VWAP, 750 is its VWAP on Meta. We're seeing a recovery in the Qs from the move down here. Do we think Meta can recover a little bit more and maybe give us a trade through its VWAP? Options look active today.
I don't like the way Meta looks, really. I think I'd like to see 725.
Okay. Looks like sorry, go ahead.
That would mean it trades underneath the 50-day SMA. But I'm just looking at the daily chart here, and we did get above that back in July, but then we had trouble recapturing it until the end of July. I'm assuming that was earnings that gapped us up to where we're at now. But it does seem like the gap is going to fill at some point soon. And that would mean if we do that, it's going to be a loss of the 50-day SMA.
ALLR continuing its curl back. I'm not in this, but I see a number of the chatters here on this one. ALLR. Meta, by the way, if it gets through its VWAP here, the 755 call that expires this week is a $5 ask, and it's pretty active today. I almost think that might be a good day trade if Meta breaks here, or breaks higher here, excuse me.
Jay Rice saying that Pi is going to 200 plus.
It's what, 180 right now? 180 handle on Pi?
It's 180, almost 183, yeah. 200 would mean this if it goes to 200, I think it goes to 240. I mean, it just looks like we're going to revisit 240 at some point. Now there might be some back and forth between here and 220 or even 200. Like I totally anticipate some moving around, especially in the choppy environment we find ourselves in right now. But it looks like at some point 240 is going to happen.
Here is your Pi, by the way. RR is continuing.
AZTR is not. That's back down at the load zone.
If that breaks, I think we would want to probably wait that one out. We traded against that level.
PTNM is coming up to the supply zone from the pre-market, just a little bit shy of the VWAP. See if we can chew through that. Big move down in NHD after hitting 608, losing VWAP in the process.
Coles lost its VWAP too, although it's not breaking down. So that's KSS. NVIDIA calls still coming through here. NVIDIA is still bouncing from its pull.
Yeah, Tenzin, I think out of all the Mag 7s, Meta is the one that's really burning their CapEx. And that's been concerning for me. All right. Well, it's looking good because things are moving slow. And some of these runners are starting to come back in. Like in HD, this has really come in.
Meta through its VWAP. I know we were just talking about this. I'm sorry, 13, but this did move through its VWAP. That 755 call up 50 cents already.
What is it? 760 is resist. Nah, maybe just shy of that. More like 759.
Yeah, just shy of that. But that 760 area, whether it's just shy or what have you, that does look like the next resistance area here. We'll see if we can get that back though. But that one there, not bad. That 755 call on that pullback on Meta was pretty good.
Jay Rice is saying that Archer got a Grizzly Research short report.
Oh, no way. Lion wanted to know about those short reports. ACHR, right? Archer Aviation?
Yeah. Let me look and see. Yeah, okay. So, Grizzly Research issues a report called titled Archer Aviation, the Nikola of the Skies.
Oh, my. That's some inflammatory language right there.
I don't know how you roll an aircraft down a hill when it's in the sky, but I'm sure we'll find that out. Now, this is a company that we've talked a lot about with, and they're supposed to be doing their having their aircraft transport athletes for the World Cup. They got a ton of contracts. So I don't know if I would necessarily call them Nikola, because Nikola didn't have a lot of defense contracts or contracts with major airliners or anything like that. So I think that's a little bit unfair. But one thing that we have talked about a lot with Archer is that the company does not have revenue yet, and it does eat a lot of cash. So I guess it'd be interesting to see what we get out of that short report, because right now it doesn't look like it's affecting the company's stock that much.
Link to the short report thrown in the chat there. I tried to load it and just skim it for you folks, but they won't let me view it without me turning off my VPN, and I ain't doing that right now. But threw it in the chat for all of you. AZTR still holding that load zone and not breaking down from it. No position for me.
It looks like they did do a bit of a flush though, because we last game we did have some lower prints down close to 106.
Polestar Automotive. Kathy saying thoughts on Polestar. So are you asking for thoughts on the stock, I'm assuming, because it's going absolutely parabolic right now on volume, or are you asking about the car? I've actually never driven the car. I have seen it in person when I was in Arizona. It looks sweet. Seems like a pretty cool car. Don't really know much about it. As far as the stock here, let me see if there was any news. This thing is up 22.5% here today. I don't have any fresh news on Polestar, but this ripping here on volume. Hey, Voodoo, good morning. It's good to see you, my man. Hope you're well.
Zach, you can go on YouTube and look. I mean, maybe they're computer generated, but I can go on YouTube and find plenty of flights for their Archer Midnight aircraft flying through the sky. So I don't know. I don't think that they've only limited themselves to just vertical takeoffs and landing. I think that their aircraft has actually flown. I'm pretty sure it has. All right, so a lot of sideways action here. Unless you're Polestar or Rich
Tech Robotics. Yeah. I think Izzy's 390 call might materialize here. I wouldn't chase this move personally. No offense, Izzy, but if you're already in it, giddy up. If you're not, would not necessarily chase this move.
Polestar probably goes to 140, 145. The 50-day SMA is right up there. NHD getting some support beneath VWAP.
I'm looking through the Ondas option chain right now, and I'm encouraged to see how many folks are trading options on this name. There was someone here. This is crazy. There was someone here that had nearly 10,000. Maybe it's not one person that owned all of this, but there was 10,000 contracts held open in the December 1 call. And today there was 9,000 traded. So I got to think that was a closing order here. Someone had one call stacked from the floor to the ceiling on Ondas and unloaded them here today. Oh my goodness, that was probably a humongous move.
Yeah, I think you're right.
440-esque.
I think you're right about that, Zach. There's probably a lot of back close in there.
I think so too. That and Lucid 13.
And yeah, and then Lion, hey, short the hell out of it, man. I mean, you're not going to hurt my feelings. This thing is, it doesn't have revenue, and I think Knights Lance, you might be right about that. We have seen this happen before. What was the one that we saw this happen before? Was it IDAI? Ryan, that we saw there was a short report where somebody tried to hammer it down and it got completely bought up.
It was INOD.
INOD. That's right.
It was INOD that happened. And I remember the day that it reacted to the short report, it sold off and it immediately bounced and then went much higher.
Yeah. So Knights Lance, I am not discounting your statement there at all. I think that could absolutely be something that happens here. I don't know for a fact, but I would not discount that because I've seen it happen before.
Kyle asking about a stock that I've actually been kind of taking a look at. We don't talk about it much, but now that he's mentioning it, let's take a look at this. So JB Hunt, what Kyle's saying, what are the thoughts on JB Hunt? Here's mine. The big thought here is that I got to think that this is going to provide a pretty good trade when we take out that 200. We have a series of lower highs now from the Liberation Day lows. And to me, it looks like we're going to try and recapture this 200-day moving average. Now, I don't think I would be interested in trading that until we actually firm up and close that, because the last time we made a move for this, we weren't quite ready to get over this. Watch this 200-day moving average. I've got that value, 155.98. Let's call it 156. That's what I like JB Hunt over. I don't have any indication that it's going to go right to that moving average. But if it clears that out, I think we go higher here. Volume point of control going all the way back to 2022 is 173. So I think you got some pretty good movement baked in here. That's JB Hunt.
I think I would take a little bit more of a bearish stance on this.
Okay.
If you look at a weekly, and hopefully you have your moving averages on.
I do.
This looks like this is a double top that is still resolving to the downside.
Okay, double top up there around 220. This is holding the 500-week moving average, but to your point, 13, if that breaks down, we're probably going to be looking at about $100 on this name.
Yeah, that seems about right to me. Let me look at a monthly to see what we get out of that. So, perfect.
Oh, look at this. Tenzin, were you saying insiders for this one? Because we actually had some recent buys here. They're not huge though. I guess this other one here by Nicholas Hobbs, he bought 3,000 shares of this. A couple of insider buys that are recent this year. 13. Sorry.
Look at the monthly, the weekly and the monthly. The chart doesn't look good to me on either one of these. And I think that 200 month SMA, that's probably where I'd be targeting. For the price to go. Okay.
Yeah. The way I would look at this, I'd be a wait on this one. Kyle, I'd wait on this one until we can take out that 200-day. I think that would maybe change the bearish perception that 13 is outlining here.
Yeah. Let me go back to the daily and look at that.
I just don't. Go ahead.
If we take that out, we're back inside this sideways channel that the price was in for years. Like back in 2021, we went in the sideways channel and we lost it in March, and we haven't been able to get back inside it. But if we do get back inside it, we're also going to get above the 200-day SMA. So I think I would probably change my stance on that if we ended up doing those things.
It's got work to do, though. It's got work to do before we can do that. Absolutely.
Okay, so AZTR might give lower entry. Okay.
Tyler Maldonado asking here if we think Kohl's will get to the 500. I don't know if it'll get there today, but yeah, to me, it does look like this is kind of bottomed and turned around. Maybe we do get to the 500. Someone was asking about retail earlier too. I don't necessarily have a call on retail, but a lot of these, here's Best Buy. Best Buy, very similar here to JB Hunt. I would really like to see this recapture the 200-day. Best Buy also looks like this might have put in a bottom.
Tenzin, so you're mentioning the AI hiring freeze in Meta. That could be an AI bubble alarm. I'm not going to say it's not, but remember that Meta has been having some trouble with the new AI hires and the old guard that's been working on AI for a while. So I would think that maybe that has something to do with their AI hiring freeze, because there's some resolution that needs to happen with the older employees and the newer employees that they're bringing on.
STSS taken off here. This is interesting. This is kind of a delayed reaction. We had that bigger move there on Monday. Pretty sleepy day yesterday, both volume and price action wise. But today we're starting to see a reversal of that. Really good volume here intraday. Nice little move higher. We're actually above the highs that we put in on the regular session on Monday. We're right back to, actually now we're at the highs of the pre-market consolidation area. This thing keeps going here. I'm not in STSS today, but damn, this one pretty good. Bitcoin 112K, Tesla continuing its bounce after that pull, and Ondas at the highs as well. Jane here saying, I think brick and mortar retail is going to make a big comeback. It's a dime store opinion. Oh, we'll take any opinion, no matter what store it comes from. Some of these retail stocks have actually been pretty good. And some of them also with high float interest. STSS halted here, by the way, 1427. What a move.
That kind of makes sense to me a little bit if we're getting rate cuts.
Sure.
That makes a little bit of sense to me, yeah. Especially, and commercial real estate isn't necessarily hammered. It's down from its highs, but it's been showing a return. It's like a comeback. So I think it's going to, basically come down to rates. So I think that you'd be right in that sense. BTI looks like it's bottomed. Maybe. I mean, we only got
BTAI
a couple.
You were mentioning there?
Yeah, it says it may have bottomed. I'm not going to say it has. I'm not going to say it hasn't. I think for me, I would want to see more data. I could see how it may have tried to put in one, because that candle, that last red candle that we had, that looks like that was a bit of a shakeout. But let's just see if it can recapture 450, because I think that's one of the things I need to see first.
Interesting. Abercrombie, ticker ANF. We were just talking about retail here. Abercrombie reported a beat on the top and the bottom line and a guidance raise, traded higher, but gave all of its gain up. Now, it is still up here by 2%, but if you take a look inside, you can see this was actually up higher initially off of that print. I wonder what happened in the conference call here this morning. That's really what sunk it.
Something about tariffs, maybe?
I don't have any headlines from that. Let's see.
Big bear hug. You bought Western Union, huh?
Hollister jeans. The Hollister brands are resonating with teens. Interesting. I had a pair of Hollister jeans when I was younger. Never liked them very much.
Well, folks, it is that 10:30 mark where a lot of volume, what was left in this market is probably going to end up evaporating a little bit here until at least the afternoon. So, be careful with some of these trades. Some things have worked out pretty well. Some have not. We've been waiting for some volume to kick in. It just hasn't arrived.
Ondas still at the highs, continuing to trade higher here, 547. This is absolutely awesome. Really quick, though, SPY here, we talked a little bit about this. 640, 650 was a possible breakout spot because that was the previous all-time high. We are 646.27. Now, we're either going to break out from this area or we're going to find some resistance up here, but a decision point coming here pretty soon on the SPY, and I think that might affect some of the bigger cap stocks.
Stephen, MP Materials doesn't make chips for NVIDIA. That's TSMC. MP Materials is a rare earth minerals and mining company. Their materials that they mine are probably going to end up in some of those chips, possibly at some point, but they don't make chips.
Knowledge Drop says teens from 20 years ago maybe want Hollister. Yeah, that was kind of my point here. Anne Marie saying apparently jeans are back. Marcus saying all the teen girls want Hollister right now. Yeah, I'll tell you what, the teen trade, the best one that comes to mind was Bros. We got some insight that a lot of the younger folk really like Bros. That gave us a great trade. I almost wonder if we're going to see something similar here. Are we also thinking that athleisure wear is out now? So like Lululemon, that type of stuff, not as popular. Jeans are kind of back. Is that the Sydney Sweeney effect?
That'd be funny. That's, I mean, it seems like it is. By the way, NBY is starting to get some volume here, and they have a big bid at 168 that's going to seemingly keep it up at this level for the time being, as long as that bid exists. Hopefully the sellers don't take it out. They're trying to, but it's holding up.
And that's pretty much right at VWAP. That bid is literally at VWAP. Brad says Ryan had nice jeans. Brad, I see what you did there. They did take that, by the way. I see what you did there, Brad. I liked it. My tween niece is all about Lululemon. Okay, so that's still on there. I appreciate that. I appreciate that, Jane, that insight.
Wow, yeah, CoreWeave is suddenly ripping right now. Looks like they...
Was there news or something on CoreWeave?
Yes, I mean, I see that Cantor Fitzgerald gave it an overweight rating with a price target of 116. That's the most recent news, even though it's about 20 minutes old.
That was a nice. You're not kidding. That was a nice spike there in CoreWeave.
Well, you got to give it to Maverick, who mentioned it. Thank you, Maverick. And yeah, hey, Lion, take your money to the bank and have it, visit the other money in the bank.
Cores calls. So maybe on this CoreWeave move higher here, we're seeing cores do the same thing. Cores at intraday highs, seeing some call sweeps here. These are the 16 for September. They bought 1,000 contracts in that. Not the most expensive trade, but a lot of contracts. STSS open now. Looks like it tried to pop higher initially.
Core is also squeezing. And I think, hold on a second, let me just double check something. Because I think, if I'm correct, could get a big move coming here in cores. So it looks like 1420 is a resistance area, and I don't know if we're going to get a breakout there, because above that is probably some bag holders that are looking to get out from the Friday price action. But it has been running into resistance at 1420. It was doing that all day yesterday. 2 times it did. So I would be kind of keeping an eye on that spot, 1420 for CORZ. Any thoughts on MDB? Yeah, this thing had some great earnings, some great guidance, and we well, let's see where it's at right now. So kind of sideways. We were looking for this to come back in some more and maybe get some support around 260, because this has been a pretty large move. Hasn't happened quite yet. For us, I don't know about Ryan, but for me anyway, I'd be looking at support at the 260 area, and resistance at the 500-day SMA, which I have a value of 293.
Which stock is this for? I was reading Kyle's post about CRM.
MDB.
Oh, at Mongo.
Mm-hmm. You were just asked if you had any thoughts.
Yeah. My thoughts here. So what we talked about yesterday on MDB when we actually watched this report was this gap fill that we seem to be done with now. The other thing, didn't we have a longer term trend line here? No, I think I drew one from the start of 2024. I think we had this and it was this, and look at that. We are through that trend line. This to me looks like the bottom might be in here for Mongo.
Looks like AZTR is probably going to go lower. PTNM, we did get one visit of the VWAP. That was rejected. We're trying to trade up to it again. We'll see if we can push through this time. If we do push through, I think 140 is going to be the next resistance area. JPM says C Boogie. Oh, he's asking if JPM is
Yeah.
headed to 310.
Is JPM headed to 310? Yeah, I think so. So that chart actually looks like it's going to try and re-break the recent highs, if I recall correctly. Let me pull it up.
Yeah.
Does it? Yeah. So here, see, Boogie, I think what you're asking for here is if this does push through 300 or this recent high that what is this, back at the end of July, beginning of this month, 310 makes sense. I'll be honest with you, though, if you're looking to trade financials, I would probably be a little bit more inclined to trade Goldman Sachs, to be quite honest. Because I do think you're going to continue to see more mergers and acquisitions as well going into 2026.
And if that's the case, also look at Morgan Stanley.
Yeah, be another one.
All right, so AZTR down to the 65 EMA. We have a test here of pretty close to 1. Let's see if we get a reversal off this. Let's see if we get a reversal. NBY also coming back down to its 65 EMA on the 5-minute. NVIDIA insiders selling is big.
They've been selling for a while.
Yeah, so has Jensen been unloading?
All I know is that the insiders for NVIDIA have been selling for some time, and that stock has continued to march higher.
Yeah, this Jensen mostly. That's
wow, 27 million shares, or $27 million worth of shares. He sold 150,000 shares, and that was August 18th.
Yeah, and I'm looking just going back to July, beginning of July. He's been selling a whole bunch.
God, I'll tell you what, man. If I, maybe he still has 82 million shares of NVIDIA. That is insane. He just sold shares, got 27 million. I would be going to retirement. I would literally live on a golf course for the rest of my life.
But isn't he compensated with stock? So doesn't he just like he's just continues to get grants? Yeah, he's
That's what I'm saying. He's got so much. I don't know. Those numbers are just eye-poppingly huge.
Yep.
Jensen sells at 178. That's his price. Well, his last one here was 180, so he got a little bit better than his price. And STSS, Lou, man, I'll tell you what, all this thing needed was just like a day break. Look at this. Look at the move. Now, I'll be curious to know what happens at 18 here. But great move if you hit this one. I just scalped this one. I think it was the day before yesterday. Didn't really make a great amount on it, but man, oh man, what a move here today. Perry saying Jensen used to clean toilets, so there won't be any retirement for him. I guess that's a good point. If you really just kind of advanced your career and created an amazing company that you're leading and all of that coming from cleaning toilets, perhaps you want to work forever. Wow, Marcus, you're going to go play golf right now, and you shot even par the last 2 days. One day I hope to be as good as you and Jay Rice, but I don't know, man. Golf's a tough game. Sharp Technology shares are trading higher after the company disclosed that multiple insiders purchased a combined total of 840,000 shares of stock at an average price of $641 to $806. That's the news that we have for STSS, Lou.
I'm really looking forward to what's going to come out of that NVIDIA conference call because, man, the things have been happening over the past month really has me wondering what's going on. Gamers Nexus said something that got them upset. I'm really curious.
I didn't watch the video, but I saw that they had a recent video that said their channel might get deleted.
Yeah. Because
I better catch up on that. I better.
It's interesting. I'm really curious to know because they did a great job outlining how the whole black market supply chain works and how they take defective cards, pull the GPUs and other components off and put them onto newer cards and load it up with RAM, and it's good to go. they're making they're basically resoldering components onto cards to make products that don't even exist. So like a 480 gigabyte 5090, that just doesn't exist unless you're doing the work that they're doing. So it's some really interesting stuff, and they're using these to power data centers and research. There's a lot to answer for, I think. Rich Tech Robotics finally selling off. Sorry.
It's okay. Mama Bear saying clean toilets and work forever. My point was that if you started with a job as terrible, frankly, as cleaning toilets, and you were able to advance to this really awesome position and the head of a really awesome company, you probably have that desire to work forever. That's probably like overseeing your baby, if you will. Probably not thinking about retirement. That's all I meant. I don't think anyone wants to clean toilets forever, just to be clear. STSS, what happened to it is it's halted, right? This is the second halt of the day here for STSS. Honest Car Reviews. Yeah, the stock is halted at 1685. This should be a 10-minute halt. Let's see if it tells us what it is. It was halted at 10:40 Eastern, so it's been halted for 4 minutes.
Well, Big Bear, it wasn't necessarily accusing NVIDIA of doing anything directly, but there was a lot of information there about how NVIDIA has to be aware that all these things with the black market supply chain are happening, and they're turning a blind eye to it. So they're kind of letting this happen, and it kind of makes you wonder, well, why? Is it just that hard to control, or are they just not, really caring? But one thing that you do make a good point about is that they are heavily reliant on NVIDIA because of their CUDA platform. Heavily reliant, even if they are black market, buying these things.
DSS kind of a dud here today, to be honest. It is holding the pre-market low, but it really hasn't done much. Smoke Tuna mentioning ALLR and asking you to take a look at the 1 hour 13. Oh my heavens to Betsy.
Curling up, what are we looking at? 175. That looks like that's going to be one of the big next big levels to take out.
ALLR still doing its curl. STSS is open now. Looks like the initial pop was higher. STSS, that was a 5-minute halt, by the way, folks.
Looks like NVY, if it doesn't hold here at the 65 EMA, we're going to lose this level and go further down. Next support area will be down around 150.
STSS might be coming back in a little bit.
GOOS is being mentioned by EKS. It's at the high of day, getting taken out on a go private offer. Then there might not be a trade there. Let me look at it.
STSS still going higher here. Lou, insider buys very, very, but there's only one reason why insiders would ever buy their own stock. They think the stock is going higher.
This is okay. This is, Ryan, you're going to have to look at the happy hour chat, but this was getting mentioned earlier this morning because we were talking about potential M&A activity, and that's what potentially is happening here with GOOS. They are getting taken over by another company. That company, let me see if they have it here. Bain Capital.
Yeah, okay. So they want to take Canada Goose private.
Mm-hmm. And this is we're starting because we might start to see a cycle of M&A activity if the thought that inflation is coming up, like we're going to see not lower rates but eventually higher rates, then M&A activity is going to pick up to get ahead of higher rate costs. That's the thought anyway. Yeah, Ken, you're right. They did get re-uploaded on other channels. You're right. So we could you can still go and look at it. Well, I think a lot of that's priced in right now, Joseph. So if
I agree, Joe.
If we don't get that rate cut, it's going to be a pretty red day.
And that's kind of why I also thought that you might get a sell the news on the actual cut itself. You might get like maybe like a pop and then a kind of a sell the news effect, because it does feel like it's priced in already.
PLYM still 2% below their acquisition takeout. Oh, okay. I guess we're just stating stuff. Enter points on Rich Tech Robotics. Remember, we are past that time where the volume leaves the market for for the time being until the afternoon. So if there is going to be another upside trade here, it may have just already happened as it found support from the 15 EMA. Though I'm not sure I would lean too heavy on this coming back up here. If this is going to find some more support that's going to take this back up, I'd be looking at the VWAP and 350. And even then, I'm not sure that those levels will hold up for now.
STSS coming in a little bit now.
Debs really starting to come in now, about to lose some of the pre-market support. That's going to be down at 280. So if we lose 280, we have the 65 EMA, the 200 EMA, and the very bottom from pre-market down around 177. So there's a lot of gap to fill down there. So I think if we lose 280, it's going to get pretty bad for devs.
Ryan wants to take a look at Open. This was Open Doors. This is a recent mover. This actually at a support level here, but I'd be careful with this one.
Yeah, Izzy, I think you're right. Don't chase. I think you'd have to wait for that to come back in pretty good. Now, Lion, did you happen to catch the news with UNH that this issue goes beyond Medicare? This criminal probe, because that could mean some more downside for UNH. Here we go. Stock slip says DOJ broadens criminal probe. There's still some things that we might not have revealed yet.
Yep.
So I think I'd be a little bit careful with UNH. It's had some really good trading, especially on some of the recovery trading. But as more news comes out that there's still things that are potentially going to pull this stock down, I think we got to be careful.
Yes, that's
sorry,
coming
Joseph.
back in. STSS came off that high. It didn't quite touch its VWAP, but it's trying to bounce. I'd actually rather that come into its VWAP first.
I don't think it would necessarily mean downside for MOH, although I could see that going down as if the whole sector comes down. But this news was specifically to UNH, so there could be some of an effect on MOH, but it's mostly going to affect UNH. Looks like NBY is trying to recover after getting some support from the 65 EMA. Still really low volume. AZTR, this thing's almost down at $1, and if it goes beneath $1, that's just going to make it pretty unappealing, unless you're a penny trader. PTNM, this thing is above its VWAP right now on low volume, trying to hold above it. 140 could be the resistance. That's what we've been getting in the pre-market. That's what we've got in the regular session. 140 could be the spot here for PTNM. Not a whole lot of stuff looking particularly interesting right now. It
No,
seems like
there really isn't.
Seems like NHD is going to try and turn around, though. The volume's so low, I wouldn't trust it.
Rocket bouncing back a little bit here. INHD, you were saying?
Yeah, it was looking like it was trying to turn around. No, I think it wasn't bad, and need to be patient if we're going to trade anymore. UNH is very big. They will grease the wheel and pay a few millions. We will go. No, at some point they will. They will at some point. But right now, we don't have enough of the information out, and there could be some more of that that's going to pull it down. Is what I'm saying.
More ONDS calls. Love to see that that's getting traded. Meta backed off a little bit. STSS might be trying to bounce, although I don't feel great about that. Still would rather have that test the VWAP.
NBY is certainly starting to turn back up a little bit more. Maybe it has another VWAP test coming. But right now, it looks like there's very few that are doing anything really great. In PTNN, see if that can continue to move up. DSS looks like that's trying to turn around. Yeah, some of these, it looks like a lot of these are just trying to turn around. But remember, we are in that period of time where volume has left the market. Probably get some better trading in a couple of hours when volume returns. Take care, Jim.
Yeah, take care of yourself, Jim. And Jay, what channel is that Ryder Cup selections on? Enjoy your round, Jim. Go low.
Well, it doesn't seem like we have a whole lot more time for anything else. I could speak a little bit about what.
Yeah, why don't you talk about Starship a little bit? We got 6 minutes before we go to story trading here.
Yeah, so that was supposed to launch on Sunday, but because of some leaks in some ground equipment and other conditions, they had to scrub it until yesterday. Did get the launch on time yesterday. That went off without a hitch. They did lose one engine during the initial launch, but that didn't seem to be a problem. Stage separation worked out fine. The booster, so that was really cool. Is the booster, they were going through a number of different tests today to really put stress on these vehicles. So they weren't planning on doing any catches, which would have been cool.
Yeah.
But the plan for this most recent launch was they were going to simulate a engine failure on the booster. So if you watch the video, you'll see that it does its regular descent like it's going to get caught, but it hovers for a moment. And you can watch the diagram that shows which engines are active, and it shows the simulated failure, and if the remaining stationary engines can compensate, because the 3 center ones are gimbaled, meaning they move around.
Mm-hmm.
So they tested that. That was successful. Depending on which channel you're watching on YouTube, they show the booster hover and then slowly descend and explode when it hits the water. That was spectacular. But the real big show came in with Starship. They, for the first time, demonstrated their deployment of Starship satellites, the decoys. They had to demonstrate that works. So the payload door opened, the fake satellites rolled out, everything worked perfect. The payload door closed. So that all worked out. Milestones hit, great stuff. And then they were also going to put the ship through some really heavy re-entry tests to the point where they specifically removed certain tiles, heat shield tiles. One thing that was starting to concern a lot of people viewing this was there was one of these stabilizer fins that started to look like it was getting shredded up from re-entry. And we've seen what happens with on previous Starship flights. When that starts to happen, it usually led to a loss of the ship. I'm sure you remember a lot of those big streaks across the sky from. Yep. So that was when Starship exploded as a result of that happening, where they lost control. Not the case this time. Even with a small explosion inside the engine bay, that I don't know exactly what happened, but it was when that happened, we thought, oh, this thing is done. It's going to explode. It's going to tumble. The engines won't relight. None of that happened. This thing continued to re-enter. We had some really incredible visuals from that. Pieces of the ship are flying off. The fins are deteriorating. It still goes. It still does its landing burn to where it flips upright and descends into the Gulf of America, the ocean there. So everything went off the way it was supposed to, but there was some real edge of your seat stuff happening towards the end as the Starship was getting chewed up from re-entry. If you have time, I recommend just checking it out, because it's fantastic. And if it's not something for you, that's fine. Don't even bother yourself with it. But if you like this kind of stuff, it's spectacular.
Yeah, it was actually pretty cool to see. Shout out to you for texting me about that, because I did flip it on for a little bit. Pat, take care of yourself. Thanks for all you do for our chat and our community, boss.
Yeah. So anyway, excitement out of the way, and yes, EKS DXYZ. That's their. That's pretty much the only way to play SpaceX directly, because their shares are not publicly traded. Yep. SpaceX. So yes, you're right. Destiny Tech 100.
All right, scalp calls and scalp devs here. Take care of yourself, Kevin. That's got a couple of small day trades here, but it's really the swings that are doing well. It continues to crush here. Onda's just an absolute monster.
Yeah. And then AZTR, as it was just pointed out here by Izzy, it's under $1. This thing has not done diddly today. And next area support is going to be around 90 cents. We'll see if we get support there. Otherwise, it's back to start. Who's going to invent space welding? I mean,
don't they do that already on some of the spacewalks for like repairs to the space station and stuff? Maybe they don't do welding.
I don't know about that. Take your line, because the whole no oxygen in space kind of thing. I'm not sure if they have anything like that or not. My understanding is that it's not something they do, because you have to kind of prefab these things and launch them up. And I don't know the answer to that. I don't think that they have anything like that right now. And we're probably not going to see that for some time. Manufacturing in space, we're very, very far away from that.
Okay. All right. Real quick, Ryan, I was late to the party. Parting thoughts on NVIDIA. I think it probably beats. Really, the only question is how it trades, and I would be entirely unshocked if this actually traded down and created a kind of a sell the news event. 13, we're out of time. It's story trading next. We got Ben and Rhett coming up here. Any closing words for the group?
Hey, well, folks, it was a pretty decent day. We didn't have enough volume in a lot of these names we were looking at, but that's okay. Let's see what NVIDIA gives us tonight, and we will trade accordingly tomorrow. Wonderful day with everybody. Look forward to another one tomorrow. Everybody take care. Have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.
Great job as always, 13. We will see you tomorrow. 13's departure leaves room for our story trading friends. Let's bring on Ben and Rhett and the screen share. Gentlemen, how are you today?
Doing great, man. The timing worked out perfectly. I was actually not supposed to get my splints out of my nose until today, so it would have been hard to be on the show. And it worked out well. I advanced the appointment to yesterday, and the Godfather can't be with us, but I'm here, and I'm all ready, and we're excited.
I'll tell you what, you look and sound better than last time we had you on, so good to hear the recovery is going well. All right, gentlemen, I will get out of your hair. Have a great one here today.
All right.
Thanks, Ryan.
Rhett, just you and I here. I got to start with RR. I saw someone just asked about it in the chat. RR yesterday was our number one pick of the day with a 290 target, and it hit a high of 324. It was our number two pick of the day today with a 390 target, hit 388. I made a cool 20 grand on it. I'm looking for re-entry at around 350. I just missed it. Maybe I'm being a little too greedy, but I made good money on this, which is why I'm not chomping at the bit for re-entry. If it gets at that intraday support level of 350, I'll get back in a little.
Hey, Ben, quick question. Can you see the chat by chance or no?
Yeah, I see it.
That's interesting. I can't see on my one.
You don't see it?
No, it says it took too long to respond. It's down. So you may have to just monitor that.
All right.
So you know what you can do, Rhett? 13 gets that sometimes. You can try leaving and coming back and see if that resets the restream chat. Sorry about that.
Awesome. Sounds good. I'll do that.
All right. So while Rhett does that, I'll give you an update on the macro. I'm in some IWM calls, 235, I believe, for next Wednesday is what I think I'm in. We've been all over IWM. Really, honestly, since here. You see it here, August 1st. I got really bullish on IWM. This is the day the job number revisions came out, and they were worse than expected. And I was like, well, from here, IWM is going to outperform QQQ SPY. Well, that day was a little bit hard, but man, that was just crazy timing. But I didn't really play IWM until the pivot, PAL pivot on Friday. And then I got into some IWM calls Monday morning. Okay. They're August 25th. So I've been holding IWM calls for a couple days here, 235 next week. And I've been predicting we're going to break 243 all-time highs in the near future. And I think, and my prediction has been that we're going to break that regardless of what happens with NVIDIA tonight. So we have NVIDIA earnings tonight right here. And it'll be easier, I think, even though, there could be an argument for if NVIDIA does well, then you're going to see, again, money rotating out of small caps to large caps. But IWM is already broken out. We have the technical breakout. We have the fundamental reason for breakout. So I don't think you're going to see, any kind of significant rotation out of small caps into big caps just because NVIDIA beats. So in fact, I think IWM is going to hit that all-time new high, regardless of what NVIDIA does. Even if they miss. Now, it may be rocky. If NVIDIA takes down the whole market, I think you're going to see IWM coming out of that with flying colors and outperforming QQQ SPY within a day and a half, maybe less. Okay, so really bullish on IWM here. Now, NVIDIA, I'm not going to make a prediction on the earnings report itself, but I will say this chart is extremely bullish, and it won't take a lot for NVIDIA to break out to all-time new highs. I really like how this daily RSI has reset a little bit over here, because you see it likes to trade and overbought all the time. So the fact that it's now below overbought, that's kind of, relatively speaking, oversold for NVIDIA. So all you need is a modest beat, and NVIDIA, I think, rockets to all-time new highs tonight, okay? So that's your macro overview. I've been bullish. We've had a green signal for the last month. And we are basically, our motto right now is Carpe Diem. Okay, Rhett, I don't know if you caught that or not while I was talking with the macro. I spoke on NVIDIA and IWM. You got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited to see how this plays out today. I don't think we're going to see, if we do see a huge move, I think we may see a significant move to the downside. The upside, I think it'll be pretty restricted.
Are you talking about NVIDIA specifically?
Yeah, for NVIDIA for today after the close. That's just my thoughts behind it. Okay. As for the indices, just like you were saying, I mean, we saw it today. The IWM was diverging from QQQ this morning, so that was nice. You were spot on that analysis, along with it hitting your 235.42 target from today's morning notes.
The initial, that's the breakout level. 235.42 was the proximal high from last week, and that's your breakout level. So we broke above 235.42, and I think from here on, it's game on for 243 plus.
Awesome.
All right, so that's the macro view over there. We do have other ERs to speak of tonight. I looked at ANF and PLAB. PLAB had a modest beat. ANF mixed results. They did increase the guide by just a little bit. Played PLAB a little bit, but MDB we'll talk about in a second. That was the one I liked the best. Other ERs besides NVIDIA tonight, we have Five Below, Hewlett Packard, GE, Viva Systems, Urban Outfitters, Snowflake, which a lot of people are excited about because of the MDB beat, and CrowdStrike. They're all report tonight. I'm not taking any ER bets on any of these, except I own some NVIDIA in my long-term account. Now, heading over to, so we'll see. Joseph agrees with you. I look at the NVIDIA report similarly. He says, does your comments work now, Rhett?
Oh, yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see it all.
And by the way, since the Godfather is not here, we have extra time today. So you can definitely put questions or tickers you want us to look at in the comments, and I'll probably have time to talk about them. So we'll see what happens with this. Yeah, I disagree on that a little bit. I would say much greater potential to the downside if they miss. Yeah, but if I think the chart is set up, so even a modest beat, I think it's going to go up. But we'll see. Okay. Anyway, I'm not really making a bet on that anyway. So what is that? Worth? Not much. Okay. The only way in which I might, indirectly be playing a bet on this is if MDB doesn't work today. So MDB is our number one pick of the day. We bought this in after hours last night at early at like 265, quickly sold it at 270 or whatever. But then I had time to digest the earnings report, did some research, and we got back in at 275 last night and made it the number one pick of the day for today. By the way, we have a process in which we pick like a top 5 stocks for the day. Sometimes it's like top 3. Like today we only had 3, but then we refine that further and we pick a number 1 pick of the day. With Rhett on our morning show, Rhett was auditing those numbers for the month of August so far, and 82% of the time, the number 1 pick of the day has an open green candle, which means if you buy it at the open, sell it at the close, you're making money. And a lot of those times, you're talking about huge targets like RR yesterday, which opened here at 250, and our target was 290. So in any case, so what was the number 1 pick of the day today? It was MDB. MDB up 30%, 32%, its best record in history. And my thesis was for 300 possibly today, and it certainly hasn't panned out yet. The chart doesn't look superb to me, right? It looks like it's just chopping. Is this going to break out of the chop and be one of those 80% of the times correct? Or is this just going to chop all day? Now, MDB had a massive beat. Importantly, on that beat, the CEO said it was actually not yet positively impacted by AI in a material way, which I think is bullish because the AI impact is coming, yet they were able to get this huge beat. They beat by like 50% for the quarter on EPS. For next quarter, they guided 9% above analyst estimates. So, yeah, importantly, all of that was from the core business with the upside of AI still to come. I love this comment from Izzy. You guys are spot on every day. I joined last week. Thank you so much, Izzy. It's pretty incredible. It is how spot on I am every day. It's just, I don't even know how I do it. It's ridiculous. But I'm certainly not doing it alone, Rhett. I get a lot of help from the community, pointing me in the right direction, and some collab with folks as well in there, which helps. But in any case, man, RR missed my re-entry at 351. I think it might have broken out here again. If it breaks 370, oh, that looks like it wants to, and the RSI is reset. I got to tell you, I'll get back to MDB in a second. At this point, I'm all out. RR make great money on it, but if you look at the weekly chart, Rhett, I don't think it's over. You have so many tailwinds, by the way, on this between NVIDIA, Walmart, new robot coming out. But if you look at the weekly chart, I would say 4 to 5. 416 here, 416 to 520, probably in play. But the thing is, right, as I said in the chat about a half hour ago, I don't know if it needs another catalyst or not, right? Are there enough catalysts for this to keep running based on this weekly chart to those levels? Or does this need to now digest the move, consolidate for a while, and wait for the next catalyst to get to the next levels? I don't know the answer to that, but I strongly believe it's coming, meaning I don't know the timing exactly, right? Do we get to 416 to, again, do we get to 416 to 520 today, tomorrow, the next day without a catalyst? Or do we consolidate for a few days, a week, get the next catalyst, which might even be a tweet from RR, and then we go to 416 to 520? I don't know. If you have the right time frame, I think you're still safe swinging this, all right?
Yeah, without a doubt.
The account that I'm doing this in is mostly it is a swing. It's a day and a swing account, but we'll see. Maybe I'll find another entry for a swing to those next levels. All right. I mean, we just killed it in 2 days. So I feel a little bit stupid not like stepping out for a minute or two. I mean, it was open to 250. Like we basically rode this from 250 to 390 in 2 days. I mean, that was ridiculous. Anyway, heading back to MongoDB. So I gave you the kind of the fundamental picture on this. And by the way, it is the valuation is much better on MongoDB than Snow when you look at PS and PE ratios. Again, best quarter in history. Got a lot of upgrades above $300 on MongoDB. So 300's my target. I think it's probably going to come soon. I hope it comes today because that's what I predicted. But at this point, I don't know if it's going to come today. But I do think that if it doesn't come today, I will probably keep 30 to 50% of my position overnight, basically indirectly betting on a good reaction to NVIDIA ER. Because as I said, there's optionality upside, optionality AI upside to MongoDB. So, whole AI sector will go up, and I think MDB will be included in that. So if we don't get to the 300 today, and if we get a good reaction from NVIDIA overnight, then I think we can get to 300 plus the rest of the week on MongoDB. And this is another one where looking at the weekly chart is just beautiful. Like if you look at the daily, you're like, oh, this is crazy. Look at that gap up. It's up $70. There's no way I'm going to chase this.
You have to go to the weekly chart.
You go to the weekly, you're like, that's just noise. I mean, that's nothing. That's just a blip so far today. Like this has easily the capacity not to only go to 300, but it is definitely possible that by Friday, the stock's 350, right? If the market melts up on NVIDIA. That's a big if. But if that happens, there's a possibility MongoDB can make it to 350.
And then we have a comment in here. Is it highly likely offering on RR anytime soon?
I honestly, I don't know. I have not looked at their balance sheet or their burn rate or anything like that. I mentioned it yesterday. There was a possibility. In fact, that first, when we're in this, I think we're in it the day prior, right? It was the number one pick of the day yesterday, but we're playing it Monday as well. And on Monday, when we were in this, what was it? Open 218, high 257. So we're in it in like the low to mid twos on the catalyst, that Walmart catalyst, which has not been PR'd yet. And we're like, I'm surprised it's not higher. Remember that? They're like, we were like, why isn't RR higher? And I kept it overnight because I was so convicted it would go up. But I did mention the possibility that maybe it's not higher on that news because of the risk of an offering. So you pretty much have to always assume in these small caps. I mean, if you have the time to do the research, great. Go do the research, check the balance sheet, check the cap structure, check the burn rate, and then you can make it a more informed bet of whether they may do an offering or not. And by the way, the comment from Webcoin, just the fact that I have a good cash balance, not enough to avoid an offering. Companies are very opportunistic about doing offerings. And if they think, because this was my concern, there's a master services agreement that came out Monday morning in a filing, which points to a deal with Walmart, but it wasn't PR'd. And then people are asking, why don't you think it's PR'd, Ben? And I'm thinking about it. I'm like, maybe it's not PR'd because this deal requires some CapEx, and that before they PR it, they want to simultaneously put it out there with information on the financing. That's what I was thinking. But, so far it hasn't happened. And thank God. And I basically made the bet that even if there is an offering, I think Walmart trumps that. So even if you get a drop on an offering, the Walmart news is so good that it'll be able to absorb that and bounce back. So I stayed in RR during that time period. So is there a risk of an offering? Maybe. Okay. Check it out. Okay. Also, another comment, someone saying market cap very high for the revenue, very high. I get it. But market's forward looking, right? It's not about market cap versus revenue now. It's about market cap versus potential in the future. That's how the stock market works. But speaking of fundamentals, that's another reason why a company may raise money even if they don't need the cash. They may be looking at this and they may be thinking to themselves that, hey, we're richly valued now. It's a good time to raise money. So there's so many reasons why there may be an offering that you don't expect, especially with these micro cap and small cap companies, which makes it a little bit of a minefield. But in any case, I digress on RR too much. Okay. Yeah. So I saw a comment about ONDS. I'll get to it in a second. So right now, like my top two convicted ideas are IWM and MDB. I got to be honest with you, that's not how my portfolio is positioned at all. I have a bunch of swings, which I'm not too thrilled about, to be honest with you. And maybe I should reduce those by end of day today to focus on my higher conviction stuff. I got a whole bunch of Wolf. I got a whole bunch of Berna. I got a whole bunch of BMNR. So I don't know. Maybe I got to reduce that and increase my position in MDB and IWM. Okay, so someone's asked me ONDS. Man, I've held this in my retirement account. I did sell some last week, but man, I wish it was in my trade account. Like I've been trading this a lot this year, but this whole entire move, I didn't expect it to go up this much. I was like, okay, made 10, 15 cents. I'm out. Go on another day, made 10 cents. I'm out. And then I got distracted with other things that had more proximal news. But this move has been just incredible. I wish I had even more in my retirement account. I wouldn't be surprised if ONDS made it to 760, 770 in the next couple months. This is now the premier, no questions about it asked, small cap drone stock on the market. All right. I've been saying that since their webinar that they had, which I forget if it was right before the earnings report or right after, but they had this webinar. I was blown away by it. I mean, these guys are executing like crazy. Did a couple more acquisitions here in the last several weeks. And this totally trumps any other RCAT, UMAC, whatever, you name it, doesn't matter. ONDS is the premier, is the drone stock in the small cap space. And that's why it's going to get a premium. And that's why I think it could go to 770. That's why it's in my retirement account. But man, I wish I was playing this in my short-term account as well, Rhett. All right. Take a little breather here. Rhett, what's going on? Any thoughts?
Yeah, so someone's asking about BMNR as a 45 for re-entry. I like that level. I would like to see it bounce, but also at the same time, you got to watch the ETH chart very closely because, I mean, it definitely follows the ETH, especially to the downside significantly. So just you got to keep that in mind when you're playing BMNR.
BMNR, apparently someone in our Discord said, I think it was Ollie, and I wasn't aware of it, that there was a pipe unlock this morning, and that's why it's underperforming ETH this morning. And this is one of the ones I'm swinging, unfortunately. I was looking for a move to 59 to 70. I re-entered. We played it well on this initial move up. That was beautiful, and I actually avoided most of this, so that was beautiful. But then I re-entered here at like 54 to 55, expecting 59 to 70. It hasn't quite panned out yet. A little bit of danger at the 20 DMA because of the pipe unlock today, it looks like. But given the valuation, meaning the NAV is not too far below this level, and ETH is shaping up, bouncing off that 20 DMA beautifully. So I think I'm going to tolerate the pain here, unfortunately. I don't like that. Like, this is not, I usually don't tolerate pain. I mean, you see me, right?
Yeah.
I'm where the action is. I'm where the catalyst is for the day. And I like to quickly pivot and put my money in the thing that's going up today. And I get upset at myself when I end up swinging things which have become removed from the catalyst. So, you know, that's not the only one. There's a few that I'm in swings. I'm not so happy that I'm in them. But in any case, I just think, like, I don't want to sell it at 48 to see it at 55 next week. I don't know.
Yeah, and then another one, if we're in terms of DATs, is Verb. Verb is down 14% today.
Yeah,
so
we interviewed the CEO of Verb. I wonder if it's still blocked on Fidelity. I maybe I got lucky that I really couldn't play this one. This is digital currency called TON. Let me just see if
TON coin. TON.
TON. It's called TON or TON?
TON. TON coin.
Oh, it's pronounced TON?
I think you're saying it right. I was just...
Oh, okay. Let me just see if it's available. Yeah, on Fidelity. No, they're still blocking it, which is weird. Yeah, Fidelity's... They think sometimes they're doing their customers a favor by pre-screening companies, and then they just like block them. So
that's crazy.
I know, but you know, I told Verb management about that, and they're reaching out to Fidelity trying to get it resolved. But this is legit. This has to do with Telegram. I forgot. Was this? Did they? They are. Where are they in the process? Are they waiting for the ticker symbol to change to TON? I mean, the deal is done.
I think
right?
They're going to leave it for Verb for a little bit in the interview. That's what he said.
I know, but I
forgot. It's in the process of getting changed to TON. TON.
Right, but what was what were they waiting for? I don't remember. I don't know. I don't have my notes here. They're at home. This is my first day I'm back in the office in like 10 days. But in any case, it's very interesting to me, and I think it is a legit company, a treasury company for the currency used on Telegram. Currently not in it. Guess lucky I'm not in it right now.
Long-term account, actually.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. So I'll have to
look up my notes again. So taking a little bit of a hit today.
What's that?
I said I added in the low 20s, so I'm taking a little bit of a hit today.
Yeah. Well, see, like I don't like to trade like that. Like, you know, a lot of people in our community, they're either trading on, a lot of people trade on technicals or fundamentals, right? Looking at fundamental ranges, you know, risk reward charts or where support is on tech. I don't do that. I trade based on the concept of re-ratings, right? Which is why, you know, I don't know, man. I think I have one of the best processes out there. I'm up 440% year to date. you know, when you have a new catalyst, when you have a delta of information, that's when you get a delta in price, as long as you interpret the impact of that catalyst correctly. So I hear you on that verb. It's just not my style to like look at dips and be like, okay, here's a good value, buy it. Like, I'd rather wait for a catalyst on verb. But truth be told, it's, you know, I can't even buy it anyway because Fidelity is blocking it right now. So in any case, those are my thoughts on verb. Let's see here.
IWM looks like it wants to keep running here to the upside. About to break a high a day here coming up. Few cents
Wait,
away.
hold on. What's this on our Discord? Oh wow, Yosef was done for the day at 10 a.m. Unbelievable. He is a beast, man. He is the best options trader I've ever seen. It's all based on my ideas on the morning show. It's just unbelievable. He has unbroken confidence and belief in my opinions and my predictions, and based on that, he's basically buying dips like at MDB this morning. Like, he buys this dip right here because Ben said it's going to 300, and then he'll do like weekly options in size and be out like on this pop and make 100%. And he does that basically every day. He's like making 100% a day. It's ridiculous.
Meanwhile, I'm still down on my
ridiculous. So
MVD calls.
I mean, you know, it's crazy the amount of faith he has in my prediction. And it's like, you know, it's like, you deserve it. You know, your track record's insane, 80 to 90% accuracy. But I can't even act on my own predictions like that. I just can't. But it's, some people are just getting filthy rich in our community from the advice we're giving. So in any case,
is there any other? You know what they were talking about it before you hopped on was DXYZ. I was a little surprised by this with the the Starship, seeing it only up 2%.
Yeah, and thank you for reminding me, because I actually do own. I own direct shares in SpaceX. It's on the private market. You got to be an accredited investor. If you are an accredited investor and you're part of our community, we can set you up to be able to buy shares in SpaceX or OpenAI. Andy will have them all. But yeah, DXYZ, it's just too expensive. I mean, the premium here compared to where SpaceX is traded, I haven't looked at it in a long time, but I don't even bother anymore because I have the SpaceX shares. I mean, it's probably worth like $10 instead of $28. I'm just guessing. I don't know. Because like I said, I haven't looked at it. But like I said, for me, let's see. I got Andy Real, SpaceX, OpenAI, XAI, and Cerebras, which I don't even know what Cerebras is. But
yeah, what is that?
I don't know. It's just the first one coming up for IPO, and I just wanted to get some experience with that and gain some confidence that this actually works, and I'll make money on an IPO. And then if that works, oh, it looks like I bought some RR at 351. All right, I re-entered there at 350 support. Now it's 349. Double dipping might be a mistake. I don't know. Maybe not the best thing to do. Once you make your money, you probably should run. But anyway, I double dipped here at 351. We'll see what happens. Okay. What else we got in the chat there?
I think that was it. Someone was asking RR, if it pulls back, where would be your entry price?
That would be my entry price, 351. I'm in now. What's going on? Oh, Carmel was crazy yesterday. I always call it Carmel, but Critical Metals Corp. That was insane. Did you see what happened? Were you with us when I was trading this yesterday?
Yeah, it when that news hit, but then it pulled back.
That was crazy. And I got caught up in all that. And I was down $7,000 at one point. I bought that. I'm like, why the hell is it down? I'm like, these guys.
You held though, right? Or
I did. I held, and I exited at break even. I didn't make money. I could have made a ton, but I exited at break even. I mean, that was insane. All right. IBM on day 2, making that run after they. IBM. Who was it with? It was with Micron. Was it Micron? Was it? It was AMD. I think it was. Was it IBM and AMD? I think it was
AMD.
Yes, it was AMD. Look at that. It's now trying to break the. I tried this yesterday. It didn't quite work out for me, but now watch that 200 DMA on IBM. Wow. After that AMD collaboration, low RSI. Sometimes if I'm wrong by a day. That's all. And this might be one where I'm wrong by one day on IBM. Even though it was an open green candle, but with options, it just was not enough of an open green candle. It's a bigger open green candle for the options to work, at least for me. But no position now. That's something worth keeping an eye on. Big level there. IBM at the 200 DMA. Really, wow, that's setting up right with that low RSI. You see that IBM there?
Yeah, it does look great.
That does look great.
I was looking at that.
That
I
is
wanted to
beautiful.
try my hand at yesterday, AMD. That didn't work out. I cut my losses pretty fast on that one. Right now, the indices, like they're a little exhausted. Looks like they want to pull back a little. Breaking back below this 573 level. Get a close below that on the 5-minute candle. Let's take some puts.
I'm gonna keep that IBM up on the top of my screen there, but let's see what else we got. So anyway, if you want to join our community, by the way, there's a QR code you can scan there. You can go to storytrading.com or storytrading.com/Discord. You can check out our storytrading.com handle on X. Let's see if there's any other comments here. 7 target. I give BTBT. Forget about it. I'm not doing I don't care about the, sentiment is as important, if not more important than fundamentals. And I don't care that BTBT is undervalued. It's not going to get the premium. It may even trade below NAV. Okay. I know they got all that ETH. They have the Wi-Fi. Okay. But BMNR is the leader in the ETH treasury space. It is the MicroStrategy of Ethereum. And the premium is all going to go to BMNR. It's not going to go to BTBT. We made good money on BTBT running into, and I think I gave it to you on this show here, this whole move here. I gave it to you right there. It was here. This was Friday. This was Thursday. It was Wednesday. The thing was like 320, and I gave you a target that hit there. Looks like it hit a high of 360. So I made good money there and told you to sell right when Wi-Fi starts trading. I mean, that was a brilliant call. That worked out beautifully for us, but I'm done with BTBT. I don't care. I don't care what the valuation is. I don't care what their NAV is. You need sentiment on your side, and sentiment is not on the side of BTBT. We'll monitor it in case things change. I have a vote coming up in September, to increase their authorized share count so they could do more ETH purchases. And who knows? Maybe there's an opportunity, but for now, it's all about BMNR. Ryan, back to you.
Back to me. Well, really good stuff here yet again, folks. Looks like you guys are absolutely killing it and continue to kill it. Love that the chat is cooperating and participating as well. Ben, right? You made it without Godfather.
Yep. No, I can go on. I can go on for hours.
Oh, I have no doubt about that. Thanks, gentlemen. We'll see you next week. All right.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right. That is Ben and Rhett from Story Trading. Be sure to check it out. Those guys are awesome. And as you've seen in our show here, they do a phenomenal job and they pick a bunch of winners. So thanks to Story Trading, folks. Futures Fever is up next. Sit tight. You don't have to go anywhere. I'm going to send you there right now. We're going to be back tomorrow. Stay green.